Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio, and a fine Libations Friday to you and yours, loosey-goosey edition of the program. Woohoo! I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything, but if you do, know that we've got your back. All 3 hours going to be posted both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. That's a good thing. All of that can be caught up with after the program's over. Limited commercial interruption. Thanks to our great podcast sponsor, Carlton Dean and the fine folks at Southland Commercial. CarltonDean.com. Find out more about commercial real estate, ways to make money with income-producing properties, even off-market deals. CarltonDean.com. Email the show if you like. It's JCS at 979 ESPNradio.com. Find me on Twitter, if you will, at J Cameron Show. WTSM app works well for mobile devices, and we're on YouTube where you can watch the show being performed if that's your thing, right? Go to YouTube, type in ESPN Tallahassee, and you'll find us. Last week, without football-related material, and we've had plenty of football-related material as is, but even more in earnest, it begins next week. I'll be in Charlotte, we as a company, ESPN, me as an individual. I will be in Charlotte next week for the ACC kickoff. I look very much forward to it. Fielding so many questions from you guys these days as we're right up against it now. And I do think it all seems to speak to a real intrigue that is annual. Sure, every year we're excited about the return of our beloved college football. But I think there's intrigue that's unique to this season. Because of what happened a year ago and what happened, with the first game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium and Alabama. A measuring stick you don't usually get to start the year. Even when you play some big games like we did against Ole Miss a year ago, that's not really the truest measuring stick against the best, right? It's a good team from a power conference. But this is one of the best teams in all of college football, second best team behind Clemson over the last couple of years, you'd say. And so now it is that Florida State and the year before you would have said they were the best. So the point is they're annually a great barometer for where you are, and that's looming large.
It's probably important to state at this point, though, and it will need to be restated as we get closer to the game. It's more of a measuring stick for where we are as a team for this season, not where we are as a program compared to Alabama. And I think that narrative might be pushed a little bit by the national media as we get closer to kickoff. You know, it's a good barometer for where each program is at. It's still only one football game. So as long as it's not a blowout either way, you can say to yourself, all right, well, if the offensive line, for example, doesn't look as cohesive as we hope it may be, then we say, room to grow, there is time. We looked good in spurts. We didn't come away with a win, but it's not a referendum on where we are as a program against where Alabama is. I think that's a temptation to fall into that trap.
I think it goes both ways. I think Florida State could beat Alabama by 3 touchdowns, and it wouldn't be a referendum on Alabama slipping either. I think it would be the problem is for both parties involved is there is evidence that you could use to go along with that result to make the case for it being a referendum on the state of a program. If Alabama loses, for example, to Florida State, they will have lost back-to-back games to ACC teams. They will have lost the national championship to an ACC team. They will have lost to one of the second or third best ACC teams over the last few years. And they will really be a team that, again, I know maybe it's revisionist history. A lot of people look back on things shouldn't have beat Clemson the first time around. So suddenly, you'd prop up Clemson in a way that obviously might be heavy-handed given that Deshaun Watson's no longer there. But you would do it with the ACC as well because it would continue a narrative about the ACC surpassing the SEC. And all of these things that may or may not be true, and more evidence is required and more time is required, but there would be a temptation to follow along those lines. You get what I'm saying. And if we lose, well, for Florida State, not even the second-best team in their own division a year ago, falling behind Clemson, looking as poor as they did, especially defensively against Ole Miss. If you get blown out by Alabama, you could say wholeheartedly that since Jameis Winston has left, the program has taken a very big step back, and you may be tempted at that point to pile on there and say things that simply are unfair or a bit heavy-handed as well. And I think you're right. It will happen for either program if the game is lopsided. Now, if it's an all-timer, then it's just a great battle between two heavyweights that lived up to the billing, and we move on and see what the rest of the season holds. But a blowout one way or the other, I think you would see those narratives pushed.
Well, yeah. I mean, if it's a close game and it's a classic game, I sat through one of those last year. It was Notre Dame and Texas. And even though we found out in the weeks to come that that game was nothing but a really entertaining football game for two teams that shouldn't be in the top 25, rather than what they thought it was billed as two programs that are on the come, and look at this.
Yeah, one ended up getting the coach fired, and the other one is now, I think, certainly on the brink. So, as it turned out, neither of those two teams are any good.
I mean, if we win and in recruits' hearts and minds the program is in an elevated place, then by all means, let's not get in the way of them thinking that. But it's just, I mean, if Alabama were to lose, we win this game, yeah, we can push that ACC thing and rub the SEC fans' nose in it a little bit, and that's all fun. And I'm not saying don't do that. But Alabama did just win the title 2 years ago, and if you want to play that game, maybe they should have won before Scarborough gets hurt in last year's title game.
Oh, I'm saying you can make the argument where you say Clemson should have won back-to-back titles, were the better team 2 years ago when they lost, etc. But you could turn right around and say, listen, Alabama's dominating the game a year ago. Scarborough gets hurt. They're on their way to winning that game pretty handily. And, yeah, so you could say they should have won back-to-back. Yeah, you can do that.
But, in the postgame, whoever the loser is, even if it's, 10, 13 points, I think that's going to be the talking point. And, just seeing it last year, again, I know it's a third-party game that we're not affiliated with, but I got to see how Texas is ranked in the top 12 after beating Notre Dame in a classic. And hold the phone, man. Chances are, even if Florida State beats Alabama, history tells us Alabama's going to be back in the college football playoff. So let's not put a referendum on them saying that, Alabama and the SEC are taking a back seat definitively.
But here's something I think is true, and I think is perhaps a troubling aspect that would lead one to think of this game in a negative light, other than the hype surrounding it and the excitement of seeing these two teams' uniforms on the field at the same time. And all of the other sidebars that there are that accompany a game like this. I can much easily make the case in my mind for Alabama beating Florida State handily than I can Florida State beating Alabama handily. I can't. It's hard for me to find a scenario by which Florida State blows out Alabama. It's not hard to imagine Alabama blowing out Florida State.
Well, yeah, it's not 2014 anymore. You don't have that recent history evidence, because in 2015 you lost Jameis, so you would never make the case. But in 2014, you might say, if we kicked off the season with Alabama, well, here we come again, guys. Look at everything we have coming back, plus the quarterback. Right now, no. With 2015 and 2016 season in the books and what we've done, wins and loss-wise, no, there's no way that you could predict for September, using the evidence of the last two seasons, that Florida State could beat Alabama by 3 scores.
Right.
That would have to be just a new chapter for a new team and a new season. What I'm saying is this is a brand new year. So let's not fall into that trap where no matter what happens in game one is going to tell us that, Alabama's program is at this place versus Florida State's. It's the first leg of a long race.
So next week I'll get the opportunity, along with the rest of the media that is there in Charlotte for the ACC kickoffs, to preseason vote. And I was asked on a radio show last night out of South Carolina, who do I think is the best team in the ACC? And it's funny because you have all offseason to think about that, and you have every day in my situation to be able to talk about it to some degree. But when you actually get asked point blank by people in other markets and by those paying close attention to what the media has to say, because they're going to have a vote preseason, no matter what weight you put on a preseason prediction from the ACC media or not, it's a little different. It gives you pause to think, let's be very careful about how we answer this, and let's be thorough and vet this before I respond. And I did say, after I thought about it, that I thought Florida State was the best team in the ACC, and I was picking Florida State to win the ACC. And they said, who's the second best team in the ACC? And that got interesting. Not in a way that's like volatile or anything. I just started thinking that's much harder than saying that Florida State's the number one team. Now, somebody could take issue and say, well, I subscribe to the idea that the team that won it all a year ago is still the team to beat, et cetera. I've never believed in that. I mean, you can lose pretty pivotal characters that helps you win that. Obviously, when we lost Jameis, we were not the same team. than we were with him. And Deshaun Watson is, one of those special players that comes along just once in a great while. So Clemson can't be the same team they were at that most important position. They can still be good, and that's a hard game on the road because they've recruited exceptionally well. And if you're playing a road game against a really good team like that, then you suspect it'll be a hard game. But they can't be the same team. But then I thought, well, Louisville's second half of their season was bad, but they get the returning Heisman Trophy winner who, if he improves at all, look out world because he was already incredible, especially statistically speaking. It was insane. But I do think Louisville takes a step back because of what they've lost defensively and some other areas. I had a hard time coming up with who I thought the second best team in the ACC was because flashing in my mind was this idea that Miami's defense is very good. And if they're the team that wins the Coastal, are they then the second best team because they're the team that's going to be playing the winner of the Atlantic? And if they get anything at quarterback, might they be a real threat to actually win the ACC? Now, I don't think they're good enough yet, but I think they certainly warrant consideration. So all of a sudden, what you do there is you realize that the conference is, again, coming along nicely, swimmingly, if you're looking at big vision long-term, because you're in a position where you can actually debate 4 and 5 teams. We really couldn't do that all that long ago. We were in a position to talk about 2 teams.
Sure, where they were A-plus teams. If you go back to the old NCAA football game when you got to see the team ratings, they did it on a grade scale because of the college thing, and they'd say A or A+. And then after that, it would be a whole bunch of C pluses and C's and C minuses. Now, I don't know that there's an A team. We got to prove it too. We have to prove that.
Well, Clemson would. You mean this year?
This year,
yeah. But if you were making the game, you would have Clemson as an A+ program.
As a program, sure.
Yeah,
but if I'm saying that the 2017 Tigers, I'd even look at the 2017 Noles as a B or a B+ team. You still got to show improve this year. I know that there's a lot of experience and a lot of talent on that defense, but we were sitting here a year ago talking about how good that defense was going to be. And whether or not Derwin James gets hurt, busted coverages are busted coverages. We still have to show. We have to remind our fan base. They need to remind us that that's out of our system. That we're
they lost. Listen, more than the Louisville game, which you might just flush. You might just flush the Louisville game. It's such a freakish outlier that you might just say, I don't even know what to say about that. It's like when Clemson gave up 77 points to West Virginia. That happened.
Sure.
I mean,
or 50 whatever to us.
Yes. You'd just be like, well, okay, things went downhill. It got ugly, and
their program didn't exactly go in the crapper after we beat them into the ground in 2013.
Well, this is the same coach that we're lauding today as having taken Clemson to new heights, and rightfully so, and where he ranks, and that's something we can talk about later today. Coaching rankings from Sporting News coming out, that's fodder. That's always fodder. People love to have that debate. I'll entertain the idea of it a couple times today because it is fun to engage in. We're all actively involved in our passions for college football and our thought about how those rankings should look and what categories matter most and those kinds of things. But this is the same man that was out there at the Orange Bowl giving up 77. Was it 77 to West Virginia?
I think it was 77. Yeah.
It's absurd. He's just coming off of back-to-back appearances in national championship games, and you can argue again they should have won both against Alabama. So there you go.
And that's why I'm laughing internally when you're talking about who's the second best team in the ACC. And I'm thinking about your Miami question. I think they're dangerous because of what their defense brings to the table.
Oh, and they're better coached than they were.
Sure, but it's not exactly like saying, because they get to the championship game, they're the second best team. We wouldn't claim Florida or Mizzou the last 4 years in the SEC as the second best team in the SEC.
McElwain would.
Well, sure.
He's won the East twice.
Well, and he did get the extension, so I guess he's doing something right. But it's not exactly like akin to the 5 to 7 year success of Alabama or LSU is where Florida is now. But when I think about Clemson, I think, well, the consistency they've shown. And I just can't believe I'm saying that about Dabo in my head because of the early perceptions.
I think it hurts.
The consistency. Think about that. And then go back and look. Look at the consistency of that Clemson program.
But do you also realize, and I know you do, it's rhetorical, but I mean, again, that's a Clemson team that 2 years ago goes to the national championship game and really has an opportunity to win it. And in my opinion, really left something on the table there that probably for much of last year until they were able to get that second opportunity and win it, left a bad taste. Because I think a lot of Clemson fans, just viewing it from that standpoint, had to have thought walking off the field that night or walking out of that stadium that night with the game they lost to Alabama, the onside kick, all that other stuff, that they let one get away. And the frustration must have been immense. And while I could be inclined to make an argument that they could have back-to-back titles given that game from 2 years ago and given what they did last year, again, that would be ignoring a lot of the elements of last year's game and doing that. It would also be ignoring the fact they should have lost at home to NC State if a kid can make a 20-yard field goal, and they're not playing for a national championship. And all of this grand discussion about what Dabo Swinney's done is for naught, because the cherry on top is the national title. And if you don't have it, then we go, yeah, well, don't lose at home to NC State. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, I hear you. I don't know if they follow up and lose to Pitt if they lose to NC State, but your point remains.
They wouldn't be in the game. I mean, I just think it's fickle. It's really, really fickle, and the lines, they get blurry, and it's fine. Well, and it's I hate to sound like Bobby Bowden here at the end of his career making excuses about why you could lose to Wake Forest at home 30-0 and things like this by telling people it's a bounce here or there of the football. It's not. But honestly, you look back at that little 2-year window with the best quarterback in the country in Deshaun Watson. They have a couple games there where you're going, man.
Well, they almost gave it away to Notre Dame the year prior.
Right.
Remember, they had the big lead, and then Notre Dame comes all the way back, but Clemson holds on. And, yeah, I mean, obviously, again, I don't think they lose to Pitt. If they lose to NC State, that's their wake-up call, and they go from there. But what it does is, it affords them the opportunity to go play Ohio State in the playoff last year and absolutely put Urban Meyer into the ground, which what does that do? That elevates your stock. Even if they have lost to Alabama.
Rightfully so.
Right. Even if they have lost to Alabama, maybe you don't categorize Dabo quite as high, but you say, well, good Lord, he got him back to the title game again, and he's sending a message. He's played Urban Meyer twice.
Yeah, you would, except, though, again, I do think you got to cash in the national title when you have special quarterbacks. And he had the one. And Jimbo did with Jameis and got back to a playoff. So basically they both did with special quarterbacks what you should do. Get to a playoff, get to a national championship, win one, that kind of thing.
There's no doubt, and I'm sure there are a few people yelling at their radios right now. Well, yeah, they're a play away. How about the couple of plays here in Tallahassee?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's very easily opportunities to go back and nitpick the schedule and say, well, if this happens here or that penalty isn't called or that kid can make a kick from 5 feet away, we're not talking about him in the same light. We're just not. And yet he's the same guy. He's assembled the same staff. He's recruiting the same way. The program has been on an upward trajectory for some time. But it's funny because you get so much credit sometimes for a little bit of luck. And you get so much blame for a little bit of bad luck. But the meat and potatoes of a person's reputation as a coach has very little to do with luck. It has to do with the consistency and the steady rise over time, which would be in place no matter what. But I'm just talking about perception.
Well, that's why I'm thinking that, from the consistency standpoint of what they've done, the baseline, double-digit win seasons and all that, I think you have to give Clemson the benefit of the doubt to reload here and at least be better than Louisville and anybody in the Coastal. If they don't,
I am. I picked them as the second-best team in the ACC. Yeah, no, I agree with that. That's exactly what I did. I said I thought Clemson was the second-best team, but I told the gentleman who asked the question, they're in the same division. And I'm going to pick Florida State to win the Atlantic, so.
The funny thing is, remember back in 2015, and we were sending McGuire or Golson up on the road, and the talking points ahead of that game were, don't let us beat you this year. You're supposed to win this year.
Yes.
In the same way, I think Clemson fans are saying, even though they're hosting the game, don't let us beat you again now. Don't let us make it three in a row after we've lost Watson, because then all of a sudden you guys don't have much of a leg to stand on now, do you?
No, that's exactly right. And this is all part of the overall stew. I mean, this is us continuing to talk about and throw in ingredients about why this particular season, is so intriguing. Now, we're wont to do that anyhow because it's July and we're ready for football. But I actually think regardless, you would just, if you were talking about the ACC and you happen to be in wherever, Michigan, you'd say, man, that's going to be an interesting year out of the ACC. They lose all those quarterbacks. Clemson's having to reload. Most important position on the field at quarterback. They're going to have talent because that's who they are. Florida State's going to have talent. But that defense last year, I know they get Derwin James back, but that was what a nightmare that was last year. The returning Heisman Trophy winner and Lamar Jackson at Louisville's there. Miami's on the come. You've got good young coaches. You could argue 3 or 4 of the top 15 coaches in the country, top 20 coaches in the country are in the ACC. All of a sudden, the brand of football shifts more to defensive-minded this season because of the loss of those quarterbacks. It's just talking about the Power 5, it's an interesting league this year.
For all the joking and rightfully pointing out the impotence of Miami and its program aside, it is a good thing we catch them in week 3 before they figure out their quarterback situation, is it not?
Yeah, I think them having to come up here with a kid that hasn't had the experience.
For an 8 p.m., I mean, that's
That's
I mean,
tough.
if you're talking
against
about
our defense, sure.
minimizing the risk of any kind of streak going anywhere, you play them in September. They haven't played anybody of substance. The kid comes up here, whoever it is, who's never played in that type of atmosphere with our defense. Yeah, I like the fact that game is where it is on the schedule.
Well,
we learn we have to bear the other side of it with Clemson in November, where they'll have figured out an awful lot about what they are offensively speaking, identity-wise. But with Miami, as it pertains to Miami, we get that game early before they've sorted some things out.
Well, and I always do this with Miami now because I'm a greedy a-hole. I like to sit around and think of ways that we could beat Miami for 20 years in a row, and that would never get old, and it would be a streak that could never be topped, and it would be a program blight which they would maybe want to think about ending their program. And so you'd say, well, that's a flight of fancy. What are you doing, Jeff? You're looking so far in advance. I'm like, well, I mean, after this year, it'll be 8 in a row. It's within reach. I mean, you didn't think 8 in a row was possible. 8 more, it's up to 16. I mean, it's just, And I do that, Tom, because that's the way I think about Miami. And I think, too, that what if we get 2 this year? Because it's possible. And you get to 9, and the Platinum Bohica's on the line on the road next year.
Oh, my hands are clamming up.
I don't like that. I don't want 2 this year. If the streak is going to be snapped, let it be snapped after 8 straight, not 9. I don't want to see the Platinum Bohica within reach.
Because it has to be made for
I'm
the
going to
trip.
have it made for the trip. I will enter the stadium. Platinum Bohica aloft.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Need a newer car or truck and don't want to break the bank? Think Thrifty Nickel. Buying or selling, your best bet is Thrifty Nickel. All ads appear in print and online for maximum results. Place your ad today and ask for their guaranteed results special. Call 385-0505. Get your free copy of American Classifieds, available at hundreds of locations throughout the greater Tallahassee area.
When it comes to live gaming excitement, Creek Entertainment Gretna is your hometown headquarters. With live poker and simulcast race betting, you've got more winning opportunities right here close to home. Plus, we now offer 3-card poker and Pai Gow in our card room. Satisfy big appetites at Stables, featuring hot and cold sandwiches, salads, and weekend specials. There's always something exciting going on at Creek Entertainment Gretna. I-10, exit 174, Gretna, Florida.
It's back. The 14th annual Kingfish Shootout held in Carabel, Florida. August 5th and 6th is almost here. Entry fees are $300 per boat, and donations of $1,000 or more will receive one free boat entry. Fishing hours are Saturday 7 to 7 and Sunday 7 to 4. All boats must check in at the check-in station by 7 p.m. on Saturday and 4 p.m. on Sunday. Boats can be in the water but can't pass the checkout point until 6 a.m. both days. There will be a captain's meeting at Sea Quarters Marina Friday, August 4th at 6 p.m. Mandatory one person per boat must be present for rules. Sea Quarters Marina, 501 St. James Avenue, Highway 98, Carabel, 850-697-8400.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Hey, this is Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. No one besides us wants to hear that you need a new roof. It's one of the biggest home improvements you have to make, and Parker Brothers Roofing understands. We now offer financing for 0% over 60 months. Yes, that's 5 years. Call us today for 5 years interest-free financing on that new roof. 656-8112. That's 656-8112, or go to parkerbrothersroofing.net.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Bill's Tree Service, we go out on a limb for you.
Hey, this is Clay Culpepper with Miller's Tree Service. Summertime is here and storm season is right around the corner. We offer free consultations with a certified arborist where we meet with you and advise you on which trees are healthy, diseased, dead, or ones that may need trimming or even removal.
Miller's Tree Service, we go out on a limb for you.
Give us a call at 894-TREE.
Tallahassee loves the corner pocket as much as a crystal ball winning catch.
He's looking, he lost it to the end zone. It's Benjamin! Touchdown! With 13 seconds left.
The 97.9 ESPN radio special is a must-have every Monday and Wednesday at the corner pocket. 10 mouth-watering wings, a fresh side of fries, and a chilled domestic pint of beer are just $9.79 all day long. Be sure and try the fish blend of sauces, a true wing eater's favorite. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
He's gone!
Home of Trivia Tuesday, Beer Bingo Thursday, and the daily $7.99 lunch special.
You're listening to the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thank you, Tim. At J Cameron Show, at _ Tom Lang. Nothing like catching Hour One live on a summer drive. Hashtag teacher problems. Hashtag a-hole.
Hashtag a-hole.
Fair enough. I like it.
It's nice to be able to talk football during the breaks and it not be forced. We're actually doing some scouting in the breaks. It's fun.
Yeah, oh, man, I just got sent an interesting New York Post picture that I probably ought not talk about on the air.
Is your computer acting up again? Or
No. That was, by the way, that was hilarious. Let's go ahead and pull the curtain back here. There was a
this is a good story.
So, I have this computer in front of me. We have, Tom and I, discussions before we go on the air every day, as all talk shows do, kind of just outlines really of where you'd like to go, some things you'd like to talk about, or at least get on the same page. And there are many things I don't want him to tell me what he's going to say because, we want spontaneity. And so anyhow, long story short, you have these things here. You double check on a stat, you double check a depth chart, you double check a roster or a score or a point in history. But I'll also have kind of my outline there. And I'll take a look and go, all right, well, there's that and there's this. Well, about, what was that, 2 to 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, it might be pushing a month now. Yeah.
You saw the look on my face.
Yeah, we're not.
So
don't divulge where you like the actual reputable webpage that you were on.
Oh, no. I have 6 or 7 things open at any given time. Some of it's just reference. I mean, some of it's like the ACC.com just to go to make sure, certain players, certain positions, and or, because when you're in the off season, sometimes you can think, oh, did so-and-so graduate or is he gone? Or did, you just ask if Corn Elder got drafted.
Yeah.
We were just talking about him during the break because he's a pretty good little player.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I don't know. And we were going to pull that up, double check to see, where he went. So I was on a site like that, and all of a sudden, my computer just bam. It was
not just screwing.
Yeah. Whoa! And I would understand if I were on some site like that. I was on a site like the ACC.com.
Not just screwing, Mitch.
And it was eye-opening.
Not just screwing, Mitch.
Now, what I thought had happened was that we have a mutual friend who thinks it's hilarious to send us things of that nature, whether it's a text or an email. And I'm the dumbass that clicks on it because he usually labels it something other than what it is. And then you go, oh, well, all right. Sorry about that.
Or he sends it to you in a group text when you're in a company meeting. It's a true story.
So, anyhow, I thought that's what was happening. I was like, what have I done? Well, I really was. I guess I don't know if I'd taken off my security system or whatever, but for the next week, if I went to this one particular website that is very similar to theacc.com, just that site, not any other, just very similar to the one that is theacc.com, wham! Right in the middle of trying to talk about something as beautiful as football.
Not just screwing, Mitch.
Oh! And I'd go, and you'd see it come over my face. I'd go, the look of terror that would happen where I'd just be like, oh.
And if you look at their schedule and you see in September they got 2 road dates.
Big road dates.
One of which with Miami. Yeah, they're playing on the road in Miami.
Be like, clickety click, 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 click. What has happened here? I walked into the production room where Tom sits afterwards, and he goes, is everything okay? And I said, I don't know what's going on, but I went to a site like the ACC.com, and, man, things got a little wild there. It was not what you expect to see when you're there.
Not just screwing, Mitch.
Oh! Then you know what I thought about was, I mean, all right, well, I take this laptop home. I sit it on the table. My kids use it to play math games.
Right.
What's going to happen if, you click on theacc.com and, whoa, because your wife's not going to believe you?
It would have been radio gold if it was an audio ad.
Oh. Cut.
Go to break.
Cut.
Dump. Go to break.
Cut. All right, we'll get back on track in a moment. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
While you're not at home, talk about an investment that'll pay energy savings dividends. Make an appointment right away for a free energy audit from the City of Tallahassee Utilities. You never know how much energy you can save until you do it. The City of Tallahassee is offering insulation grants. Why not apply for one? Did you know that the City of Tallahassee offers loans to help with the purchase of solar water heaters? Visit talgov.com/YOU for information on loans and rebates. So stay cool, go green, and save energy all summer long. A message from the City of Tallahassee Utilities, America's #1 public utility.
Life. It's made up of the simple day-to-day moments that keep us all running on full of joy, passion, and restlessness. It's singing full on to your car radio with the windows wide open. It's a whole bunch of early morning rush hours and a few late night runs for Rocky Road. It's full of pit stops and drive-thrus. It's life, and we live it between fill-ups at Valero. Valero top-tier certified quality fuel keeps your engine running cleaner, better, and longer. Find a station near you at ValeroCleanGas.com.
You check things all the time, like your email every 10 seconds, or your ex's Instagram. But what about checking something as important as your credit? Well, Discover makes it quick, easy, and best of all, free. Discover is now offering FICO credit scores to everyone for free, even if you're not a customer. And checking your score won't hurt your credit. We call it the Discover Credit Scorecard. And once you know your score, you should check to see if your current credit card is the best fit for you. Check your credit, compare your card. Go to discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply.
Staples knows that behind every honor roll student is an honor roll mom. The kind who doesn't get schooled when back-to-school shopping. The kind who always has her kids' backs and their new backpacks. The kind of moms who know they can get great prices on everything they need for back-to-school at Staples. And right now, Staples composition books, Crayola 24-pack crayons, and 2-pocket polyfolders are just 50 cents. Get everything they need for less. Staples, it's pro time. While supplies last. Ends 9/2/17. Limit 30 in-store, 10 online. Crayola offer available in-store only.
This weekend, every drop of paint at the Home Depot has even better coverage. Thanks to red, white, and blue savings of $10 off 1-gallon cans and $40 off 5-gallon buckets. That means more paint for less money, so you can cover more walls, more rooms, and more of your budget than ever before. So, how's that for great coverage? Unbelievable quality, unbeatable prices. Red, white, and blue savings now at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. U.S. only, valid through July 5th.
If you haven't stopped into Tallahassee's favorite hangout, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill on North Monroe Street, you're missing out.
Hey, it's me, Courtney. Hey, it's me, Marissa. Last but not least, I'm Kim, and we're the girls from the Fourth Quarter.
Okay, girls, there are lots of great nights to stop in at the Fourth Quarter, including Monday, where it's happy hour all day, including 2-for-1 Wells. There's Tuesday night trivia with Professor Jimmy, where you can win money. What other night should we stop by the Fourth Quarter?
It's Kim again. Join me Saturday and Sunday mornings for Bubbles and Brunch from 7 to 2. $18.99, all you can drink mimosas and Bloody Marys, and it includes breakfast.
Hey, Riss here. Come join me for lunch. We have over 20 lunch specials for just $7.50, and that includes a drink.
I'm Courtney. Visit me on Monday nights when we have 2-for-1 Wells, calls, and domestic drafts all night.
Don't miss out on the girls of the Fourth Quarter. Pick your favorite night and stop in. Say hi to the girls at 2033 North Monroe Street, the Fourth Quarter Bar and Grill, Tallahassee's favorite hangout.
If you're looking for a heavy-duty utility tractor at a compact price, look no further. The Mahindra 41-horse 4540 is the one for you for only $11,995. Pound for pound, horsepower for horsepower, the Mahindra 4540 tractor can push more, pull more, and lift more than any other tractor in its class. Hydrostatic power steering, industry-leading, zero-deductible, 7-year limited warranty. TNT and the Mahindra 4540 tractor making the competition green with envy. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. 229-228-5297 or online at tntsupercenter.com.
The all-new WTSM app. Download for iPhone or Android today.
One more time.
The all-new WTSM app. Download for iPhone or Android today.
One more
more time.
The all-new WTSM app. Download for iPhone or Android today.
One more time. No, God, please, no, no, no.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. It's Libations Friday, brought to you by Quarter Pocket Bar and Grill. Quarter Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachian Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
I'm not surprised by this headline. FBI investigated complaints that Bobby Knight groped women. I used to tell you all the time that between Mike Ditka and Bobby Knight, ESPN was in for some lawsuits in the not-too-distant future. And yes, that's besmirching of Mike Ditka's reputation as well as Bob Knight's. But did anybody hear me say that and go, "That's crazy, Cameron. Why would you do such a thing?" Or was the reaction more, "Yeah, it's probably true"?
Susie, I was from Philly, but they got rid of me, so I'm going with the Giants.
Let's see if the
Just picturing Ditka over there with just sort of no idea what everybody's laughing about.
Susie, I was from Philly, but they got rid of me, so I'm going with the Giants.
Let's see if the
Even before he started cursing from the podium at a U.S. spy agency, Bobby Knight was an unorthodox choice to deliver a lecture on leadership. Employees at the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, NGA, complained in advance about their boss's decision to invite the Hall of Fame basketball coach to give a speech at their headquarters, given the history of bullying players, demeaning women, and throwing furniture, and shooting friends in the face. I added that, but he did do that. But that was nothing compared with the troubles triggered by Knight's July 10th, 2015 visit to the agency at Fort Belvoir of Virginia, near Washington. 4 women who worked at the spy agency alleged that Knight had groped or touched them inappropriately in brief encounters before and after his speech. See, so here's what I was thinking when I read that. That, according to investigative documents and interviews with more than a dozen NGA officials, by the way. The allegations, which have not been previously made public, led to criminal investigations by the FBI and the U.S. Army. The Pentagon, Congress, and other intelligence agencies in Washington have been alerted. Bob Knight's a menace, Tom. So here's the thing I thought about. This is why I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if he did those things, if they're just accusations, if he's guilty or innocent. If it's just boorish behavior or assault. I have no idea. Wasn't there. We'll wait and see what the investigation finds. Here's what I do know. That when I read, given my inclination to believe that Bob was teetering on the edge of sanity, and his time at ESPN revealed such moments. Throw the ball as high as you possibly can, calling people in front of you in the midst of a broadcast out to sit down so that you could see.
Did we have an illegal substitution of any kind?
Well, I think he's going down to explain something here.
Yes.
You know, what I've always thought was an interesting thing is when you're ahead in those circumstances, throw the ball as high up as you can throw it.
Mm-hmm. Do you hear the underrated aspect of that? Not the first one is just he is obviously terse, just yes. But the second one, there's an underrated towards the end of the lunacy. Fran Fraschilla going, we're dealing with crazy.
You know, what I've always thought was an interesting thing is when you're ahead in those circumstances, throw the ball as high up as you can throw it.
You hear that at the very end? Mm-hmm. Oh, here goes crazy again. Here comes Bob selling crazy.
Did that clock reset?
No, I think they've got 18.6 left.
No, that's in the game.
That's all one freaking scenario. All of that, I'm out of this world. I'm not all here. They're still paying me. This is unbelievable. That all spans within a minute and a half. So I'm not surprised to hear this. It's not the idea that Bob Knight may have touched inappropriately the women at the spy agency, which just to read aloud is bizarre. Who should we have speak at the spy agency? Bob Knight. What? Yeah, Bob Knight. Okay. Anyhow, that said.
It's a good coach.
Yeah. This is a spy agency. Yes. Oh, Bob Knight it is. So, Bob, it's not that I would have second-guessed the idea that he touched women inappropriately in these brief encounters. It's that what's alleged here is that he did so before and after the speech. So, like, he's just nowhere. You know, the insidious behavior that he's engaged in might, from a sane person, be something you think, given your overall power in the moment, you could get away with. Might be something you think. I mean, the twisted logic, obviously, nobody should ever do this. It's a given. But you might think that if you're all there and you have a lot of power and authority and you're in a position to where somebody maybe wouldn't be apt to make those claims, knowing what a powerful figure you are, that you would try to do something like that once. Like just, oh, I'm sorry, I inappropriately bumped you there or whatever. But my man's just, hey, he's just a hand and groping, beginning, middle, and end.
Maybe he could be a member of the cabinet at this point.
I mean, that is impressive. The allegations, again, which have not been previously made public, are out there now. The women accused Knight of a range of behavior, from touching them on the shoulder while commenting on their attractiveness, the attractiveness of their legs, hugging them tightly around the chest, hitting them on the buttocks. 3 different women. Criminal investigation into Knight lasted a year, culmination of a 2016 interview with FBI agents at his home in Montana. Law enforcement officials say the retired coach denied any wrongdoing.
Put the gun down, Bob.
Bob, it's the FBI again. A few more questions on all that groping. There is absolutely no credible evidence to support this, in our opinion, said James Voiles, an Indianapolis lawyer who's representing Bob Knight. Yes. He's going to get a lot of work. I feel like Mr. Voiles has himself an ATM in Bob Knight.
Of course,
for the remaining years.
Of course, you brought this up today because I was going through some of the board, added new bumper music, as people might be able to tell. But I saw that there was the Lou Holtz clip and the gibberish, and Lou's reputation is nowhere near where you might believe Bob Knight's or even Mike Ditka's. You wouldn't maybe take that extra step with Lou Holtz. But we had the long version of the gibberish clip, and I had forgotten that we did that. Remember when we slowed it down to try and
it's incredible.
And to decode exactly what he was saying?
But we don't have the bumblebee, do we?
No, we don't have the bumblebee.
That is still an all-timer.
Which by bumblebee. All aeronautical principles should not be able to fly.
That's correct, yes. And this was all in an effort to fire up South Florida, if you recall. It was USF.
I thought it was the Knicks, but there you go. Yeah.
No. It was USF. He was inspiring USF.
There was one time it was the Knicks.
Why was he talking about the Knicks? He's Lou Holtz.
Because it was Coach Lou's pep talk, and he decided the Knicks needed help, so he put on Knicks gear.
See, you have to promise me something. I'm 46 now, all right? I feel like I'm still all there. We're okay. I'm kind of curious. I got to know, and this is where your youth plays into it. You're just 30. That if I reach a stage by which there's a chance I'm the kind of person you could take segments from and use on somebody else's show repeatedly and have fun at my expense time and again, not just because of a humorous quip, but rather the gibberish that you're referring to is so pronounced as to almost be unbelievable, that you'll tell me, I think it's time to go fishing, Jeff. I think it's time, perhaps, we go watch the bunnies.
Take me fishing.
Yeah, just something like,
And give me a memory for a lifetime.
Right. I mean,
Prudential.
Just take me, if we have to fall on the lines of Mice and Men, then so be it. But get me to that place where, no, man.
You're no Lenny yet. You're okay. Trust me.
The second some Lennyisms begin to occur and I start talking about rabbits,
But can we run the double reverse?
Over and
I
over
just
and
want
over
us to
and
run
over
the
again.
double reverse
Why
once.
don't we run the double reverse?
It's there.
It's got to be there. Look at the way their ends are crashing.
You want to hear the Lou clip?
I do.
Well, I don't get they bring the head comb.
That is remarkable because it's obviously slowed down. Play the fast version, but then play that version. There are no words other than the head comb. And it's really remarkable that occurred, those aren't words.
You want it back to back?
Yeah.
Well, I don't get they bring the head comb. Well, I don't get they bring the head comb.
It's the laughter and the slowed down
version. Crazy, the lunacy, the laughter there is that of just a madman.
Well, I don't get they bring the head comb.
What did he say during the first part of that gibberish that tickled his funny bone and led to that laughter? Like, what is he saying there that he just thinks, his brain goes, that's funny, and he starts laughing?
Well, I've gone back to the best of segments. We played those in the past. I don't know that we did last week. But I think the context of that clip is they're asking Lou, how can you explain this? How does this ever happen?
When he's trying to buy time because he always wants to defend coaches. So the coach, whoever it is, whomever they were talking about, made a mistake. It was a quite obvious mistake. They show the replay, and he, I think, is just attempting to buy time to think of some excuse for the head coach rather than rip him. And so when he says the head comb, he's trying to say the head coach, and he's trying to deflect, and it's just a jumbled mess because there is nothing to fall back on.
Well, I don't get they bring the head comb.
That's exactly what's going on there. What he wants to say is, I don't have a good explanation for that, but he can't speak. And then he starts laughing. That's just a filler to buy some more time, desperately searching for a phrase that might sound reasonably intelligible. And then he just says the head comb. He can't even say the word coach because he would know that, okay, they're going to know I'm about to rip the head coach, so he just shifts to comb. I think I'm onto his brain working here. It's old and confused, and it's in the moment.
This does remind us, though, that the Reese Davis, Lou Holtz, Mark May desk is a couple of years in the rearview mirror, and we're all better for it, are we not?
Yes, and probably a reminder to Reese Davis how close he was to suicide. I mean, that had to have been very difficult to be as good as he is paired with those clowns.
Well, I don't get they bring the head comb.
What? Oh, number 2 forthcoming.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford. The place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin, Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
O2 800-515-6302. 800-515-6302. That's 800-515-6302.
Life. It's made up of the simple day-to-day moments that keep us all running on full of joy, passion, and restlessness. It's singing full on to your car radio with the windows wide open. It's a whole bunch of early morning rush hours and a few late night runs for Rocky Road. It's full of pit stops and drive-thrus. It's life, and we live it between fill-ups at Valero. Valero top-tier certified quality fuel keeps your engine running cleaner, better, and longer. Find a station near you at ValeroCleanGas.com.
You check things all the time, like your email every 10 seconds, or your ex's Instagram. But what about checking something as important as your credit? Well, Discover makes it quick, easy, and best of all, free. Discover is now offering FICO credit scores to everyone for free, even if you're not a customer. And checking your score won't hurt your credit. We call it the Discover Credit Scorecard. And once you know your score, you should check to see if your current credit card is the best fit for you. Check your credit, compare your card. Go to discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply.
The Furniture Bank of Tallahassee, a division of Echo, is the only local program that collects and distributes gently used furniture free of charge to Leon County residents in need. Our free furniture bank donates to eligible clients such as families recovering from fire or disaster, formerly homeless clients moving into their own homes, and veterans in a rehousing program. In 2016, we helped 138 families, including 33 vets, rebuild their lives. For more information or to have your furniture picked up, call 224-ECHO. Call 224-ECHO.
Wonder what the outrageously energizing experience of Mountain Dew Kickstart is like? Well, it's like a combo of 3 awesome things. Dew, juice, and caffeine, rebooting your entire personal operating system.
Mountain Dew Kickstart is in position for consumption. All systems cleared for launch. Initiate launch sequence. T-minus 3, 2, 1, mark. Release the Mountain Dew Kickstart. Mountain Dew Kickstart released. Experiencing a charge of Mountain Dew Kickstart now.
Mountain Dew Kickstart operation successful.
You are now off the couch and out exploring the world. Roger that.
Get charged up for what's coming next anytime, anywhere with Mountain Dew Kickstart. Available in 10 energizing flavors like mango lime, raspberry citrus, midnight grape, and orange citrus. Mountain Dew Kickstart. Fuel with flavor.
RCD Shell knows how to keep you cool and refreshed. All 20-ounce Pepsi and Mountain Dew products are 2 for $2.22. That's right, 2 for $2.22. And 28-ounce Gatorade is buy one, get one free. It's more fun with Pepsi and Dew, so bring on the bubbles with these cool prices at RCD Shell.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon. If you want a ticket to the hot game on September the 2nd, Florida State and Alabama, you're going to have to find a good friend that can give you one. Organizers from the Chick-fil-A kickoff game announced today it is officially sold out 2 months before kickoff at the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Well, Sporting News has named Jimbo Fisher the 4th best recruiter in all of college football. They ranked 130 coaches. Nick Saban, number 1, Urban Meyer, 2, and Dabo Swinney comes in at number 3. Cleveland Indians manager Terry Francona will not manage the All-Star game next week in Miami after undergoing a heart procedure on Thursday. His coaching staff from the Indians will take his place. Well, how about this? You know the NBA has been spending a lot of money lately. How about Knicks Tim Hardaway Jr., 4 years, $71 million, all guaranteed to the offer sheet. That means he's going to make more money this year than Tom Brady will for the New England Patriots.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. It's Libations Friday, brought to you by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachian Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
to Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio, and a fine libations Friday to you and yours. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything, but if you do, go back, get caught up. All 3 hours posted every day upon the conclusion of the program, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. That's always a good thing. Limited commercial interruption thanks to our wonderful sponsor, Carlton Dean. Go to carltondean.com. Learn more. Ways to make money in commercial real estate. Income-producing properties, carltondean.com. Email the show if you want. It's jcs@979espnradio.com. On Twitter, it's @JCameron Show, WTSM app for mobile devices. And we're on YouTube, ESPN Tallahassee on YouTube, to watch the show. Phil Steele came out with, as he's wont to do, his lists of greatness there, top, best, all those things that he does. He joined the guys from the front row recently. And I was going through perusing offensive line situations where he has Oklahoma ranked number 1 currently. The group averaging 6'5", 325 pounds, 97 career starts returning. That'll work, right? Alabama at number 2. That's why I bring it up, because that's obviously who Florida State is facing right out the box. And we happen to fancy our defensive line as one of the best in the country. So there is a matchup that, frankly, moving forward, from that game on, Tom, we're going to be excited to watch, because you will truly find out exactly where you're at. And remember, one of the big problems last year, everybody asked the questions about why the defense started so poorly, the missed assignments, guys out of place, all of those things. It was true. And our eyes certainly focused in on Charles Kelly and that group as we start this season. But remember how banged up our defensive line turned out to be going into the season. Nani was on roller skates. We were watching time and again. One of the most disturbing aspects of the Louisville game wasn't just that guys were confused and Jackson could do whatever he wanted when he wanted, and there seemed to be so much missing from a defense that we thought was really talented, but also that they were losing the line of scrimmage. They were being pushed off the football, and the simplest way to view the game of football is right there at the line of scrimmage. Early in games, I know you and I both do it, I don't watch the ball. I watch the lines. I watch the lines of scrimmage, and I want to see who's winning. Is it even? Are they winning their fair share? We're winning our fair share? It's going to be even throughout the night, go back and forth? Or is one side convincingly winning that battle series after series? And in that game, it was horrifying to realize Louisville's offensive line, not noted as an elite offensive line, was pushing Florida State's defensive line around.
Yeah, for me, the first place I look is the trenches in obvious situations. So if you're in a down and distance circumstance that says you're going to pass the ball on 3rd and long, how does your pass pro hold up? If you're in a 3rd and short and it looks like you got a run set in, how does the line of scrimmage move in an obvious situation? Sometimes at the beginning of the game, if you're on schedule, that first drive, first 15 plays, whatever, the coordinators or the coaches have
an advantage, sure.
Yeah, and they have you off balance. So it's hard, for a defensive lineman. Sometimes they're even put in conflict and they're keyed on. But, yeah, if you're in a 3rd and 10 or a 3rd and inches, and I don't even care if you get the first down. I'm looking to see how the line of scrimmage is moving. You can achieve a first down, but your defensive line actually won the line of scrimmage. They just couldn't cover the inches. And, for that Louisville game, everything went wrong. Like we were talking about it in the break earlier today. Special teams was awful. Our preparation in the back end of the defense.
Nothing about the game.
We didn't block it up. DeAndre looked like ass, and
Dalvin was still running soft. He was obviously running through injury.
He was favoring his one bad shoulder. I mean, all of it. Everything that could go wrong. But the most disconcerting part was we thought, given the way Louisville's offensive line was inconsistent through the first couple of games of that season against bad competition, that, okay, well, this is the first real defensive line they're going to face. I don't think it's making the same mistake this time around for Florida State, Alabama. As long as these horses are healthy, we have the depth to win our fair share of battles against Alabama's offensive line. I don't care if Phil Steele has them number 1.
Well, the point would be that they're facing an elite offensive line right off the bat. And if we think that is the strength of this football team, it's yet another intriguing reason this game is on the top of all of our minds now, because here's an aspect, a segment anyhow, that is critical to winning football games, and you're getting a test that is akin to that best in the country, whether you're Oklahoma, Alabama, Ohio State, 3 best offensive lines, according to Phil Steele. By the way, a question that is frequently asked by Florida State fans and has been consistently in Jimbo Fisher's time here with Rick Trickett. Why is it we never have a season in which we are thought of as having one of the best offensive lines in the country? For the record, this is Phil Steele's opinion. Here you go. Oklahoma, Alabama, Ohio State, LSU, Clemson, top 5 offensive lines in the country. From there, he goes. Notre Dame, Texas, Auburn, Missouri, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Arkansas, Southern Cal, Miami, Oregon, Stanford, Washington, Pittsburgh, Iowa. Are you catching my drift? I'm still going here. TCU, Penn State, North Carolina, Florida. This begins to be troubling. Now, Florida State is listed in the top 25, and I just think, again, we don't know. We'll see how the season plays out. Florida State may end up having one of the best offensive lines in the country. That opportunity is still there. We'll see. But in terms of trends and the way things have gone over the course of the last several years, feels like we're never going to be on a list like this. Not in a place that you would – I mean, I should feel like on a regular basis, I ought not find teams like TCU, Pittsburgh, Iowa, Stanford – with higher ranked offensive lines.
Funny you say the TCU first because that's the first place I went. Really? TCU. Okay.
Pitt.
Pitt. That hurts too. Now we have had our years. 2010 was a decent year. 13 and 14
obviously were really good. Yeah.
But I think we undervalue how huge it was as we get further away from the title season. When we covered it, we talked about it. You get one strike that year because you had Barron as your primary backup, and you figure you can plug and play him somewhere in the interior and then allow guys to move around. But we really didn't get hurt in 13 on that offensive line, and that was the key to the year. And we had been so used to bashing our offensive line at the moment that they were actually good. Well,
a lot of people failed to recognize they were really good that year because the thought was they couldn't be. They hadn't been yet. And even when they are, they get largely ignored. That unit is the one most criticized on every team by almost every college football fan base because when they have a breakdown, the results are devastating. If your quarterback overthrows a receiver here and there, you forget it pretty easily over the course of a long game, although they could have been a big point. I mean, this is when Francois misses 1st and 10, a beautiful play call and an opportunity to hit a big play and or set up 2nd and short. Now you're behind the chains, and things become much more difficult, and all of a sudden the situation turns to where you have no leverage and an offensive line is put in a bad place. So the significance of him missing a simple throw is a big damn deal. But we tend to forget about it over the course of many plays, whereas if an offensive line allows a sack, you don't tend to forget that.
Right, yeah, 2nd and 10 because of the missed throw, and then you give up a sack and you go freaking
offensive line. Yeah, right. We don't marry the two.
But that doesn't mean we've been wrong about the last couple of years at the same time.
No, it doesn't. It's just that there are a lot. It also doesn't mean that Jimbo's wrong when he says, "Look, there are a lot of factors to this. If my wide receivers aren't running correct routes and he's holding the ball too long, if a guy misses a block here, an assignment, I got it." All I'm here to say is that most of the time nobody gives a damn the reasons. Just the inability to consistently perform at an elite level there is frustrating.
Jeff, do you remember the right tackle situation up at Boston College 2 years ago?
I can remember the utter horror by which you watch those plays. Like, we're going to have to do something, Jeff, at right tackle. That kid's getting killed.
Jeffy's lost 6 plays in a row.
Yeah.
That's hard to do.
Well, we had a perfect angle for it. We're watching it the way you would watch film. We're in the end zone on high, and you're going, oh, good Lord. This is not even close.
I actually like that angle. That's an
for the line of scrimmage. I do.
Sure, yeah, that's an endorsement for the Champions Club. If you ever want to go to the Tom Lang Memorial Champions Club, you can see the trenches and the trench warfare, and you can get a great idea of who's winning their battles and who's losing their battles.
By the way, I would also note that if you are a fan of Phil Steele and you look at these rankings and take them very seriously, and he's had a track record of great success, he only takes his offensive line rankings through 56. He just stops after that. We're just about done here. I mean, if you're below 56. But it occurs to me that Louisville is 55th.
Okay.
It also occurs to me that poor Adazio is 56 at Boston College. It's going to be hard. It's got to hurt your feelings to be playing teams like Clemson, Florida State, Miami, etc. And you've got...
Listen, I don't care who you are. If you're 18 years old, you're not going to win those battles.
I love his honesty every year, and I'll talk to him again on Thursday.
I can't wait for that interview. I mean, I know you
It's
get
the
Jimbo
annual
and
Adazio interview that I do, yeah.
you get Francois and Derwin James, and you get Mark Richt. And yeah. But you know what? I want to hear from Adazio again.
I love talking to him every year. He's hilarious. He's a nut.
He always says yes to doing the megacast, too, for the national title game.
Yeah.
He's
He
like,
likes talking ball. He loves talking ball. Hey, so it should also be noted that if you're in the SEC, it's probably, given the brand of football most years, imperative that you have a stout offensive line. Give yourself an opportunity, right, to win some of those rugged trench warfare moments. Yeah. Georgia, 46th?
Really?
That can't be, right? I mean, even you can disagree, but I mean, what if they're 38th? I mean,
right, the margin for error, wherever it is.
Wherever it is.
It still ain't good.
That ain't good at all.
But it's probably still good enough to win the East.
I don't know. It hasn't been. Oh, Georgia. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Out of regret. Parker Brothers Roofing stands behind every installation, and if a mistake is made, we own it and fix it. Our customers never have to worry about being left behind for the next job. At Parker Brothers, it's quality that builds our quantity. Call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
The Home Depot has a new idea. Free carpet installation that means free carpet installation. Clearing out furniture? Free. Ripping out old carpet? No charge. hauling it away on the house. No hidden fees, just free installation on carpet $699 or more. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid on carpet priced $1 or more per square foot. Unique specialty items and requirements may be priced separately. Not valid in all markets. See HomeDepot.com for details. Offer ends August 16th.
This is Shaquille O'Neal.
And the Shaquettes.
Reminding you that anytime is a good time.
Good time.
For the cooling, drying, fresh scent of Gold Bond powder spray. Like after the gym.
Or a crowded elevator ride.
Or golf.
Or working with farm animals.
Or a hard day's work.
Like sportscasting.
You said it, ladies. Stay cool with Gold Bond powder spray.
Stay cool with Gold Bond.
If you're looking for a heavy-duty utility tractor at a compact price, look no further. The Mahindra 41-horse 4540 is the one for you for only $11,995. Pound for pound, horsepower for horsepower, the Mahindra 4540 tractor can push more, pull more, and lift more than any other tractor in its class. Hydrostatic power steering, industry-leading, zero-deductible, 7-year limited warranty. TNT and the Mahindra 4540 tractor making the competition green with envy. 14585 Highway 19 South Thomasville, Georgia. 229-228-5297 or online at tntsupercenter.com.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Too much beer and whiskey.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. That's Nashville. You know, already sold out. I'm not surprised. That made a national headline. Did Alabama-Florida State game already sold out? The highly anticipated college football season opener between the two sold out. Chick-fil-A kickoff game ticket offices announcing today the September 2nd game is being played at Atlanta's new 75,000-seat Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Based on StubHub ticket prices, Alabama-Florida State upper deck tickets are ranging between $400 to $500, which means the game is poised to be the second most expensive ticket for the 2017 season, with Georgia-Notre Dame tickets running for $545 apiece. Now, that obviously is the result of two avid fan bases and great traditions dating back further than that of Florida State's, because Georgia-Notre Dame is a game between two bad teams. Week 1 showdown between the powerhouse programs won't lack any buzz, pitting the nation's likely top two teams against one another, according to the AP story I'm reading from. Florida State has a great team and a great program. We'll probably be number one in the country, said Nick Saban. We remember that. He said that in May, already beginning the process of psychologically shifting the battle. His Crimson Tide team will actually, in all likelihood, be ranked preseason number 1. Bama welcomes another class of 5-star freshmen, now has an experienced quarterback and Heisman candidate in Jalen Hurts. Yes, they do. That story, again, making the rounds in USA Today.
Jalen Hurts, a Heisman candidate.
Oh, he'll put up huge numbers this year. I could think so, yeah. I think if Alabama's great and he takes a step forward as a passer, you know he's going to run for a ton of yards. Alabama's going to win a lot of games. He's had a high-profile program. They always put up numbers. Yeah, he'll be a candidate. It doesn't mean he's the best quarterback in college football. Doesn't mean he's the best player in college football, but he'll be a candidate, sure.
I would have thought it would be Bo, just because, you know, their tailbacks are typically the focal points. But then again, they are running a different offense than they have historically.
And they run their quarterback, and they've embraced it and accepted that whether or not Nick Saban enjoys the way the college game is officiated or the rules are implemented, you have to do that. There's an advantage in doing this. Teams are going to do it to you. You put your defenders in conflict, and you take advantage of a system that has yet to change its rules. And so I think the real intrigue is whether or not Jimbo Fisher will continue down that path as his mentor, embrace that that's the way the game has gone, and do something very similar. It's not what I like to see. It's not a brand of football that I particularly enjoy. I do think it's unfair to defenders. I think it makes it impossible to truly play great defense because the rules prohibit it just about. But it is currently the way of the world, and it's adapt, survive, and move forward.
There is one thing to be said about Jimbo. When he actually feels it, he feels pressed or pressured to perform and he has to come up with something, he usually draws up a pretty good game plan. And he usually allows for whatever preconceived notions he has for what an offense should look like. He lets those go out the window.
Right.
I mean, with Christian Ponder, we went over this yesterday. Christian Ponder, we ran him a lot. EJ in the early days when he wasn't as seasoned in the system, Jimbo had a really vanilla offensive game plan that used EJ's legs. Hell, he even tried the Wildcat with, Chris Thompson. So he is willing to go outside the box if he feels like he is being pushed to the brink. One would think if you're going to feel that way this season, it would be against Alabama's defense in Game 1.
I would think yes, and I would think that we're going to get a good game plan. I would think that the desire to obviously win a game of this magnitude for both coaches is great. That's true. And the pressures to perform well, how it impacts recruiting, the way you're perceived nationally right out the gates, and probably the most anticipated college football game in an awfully long time that's outside of a playoff or a championship. Yeah, I think that's all the impetus to do exactly that. But at the same time, I always think it's an interesting balance coaches have to strike, and Jimbo Fisher's no different. He's talked about this a lot, about coming out of your comfort zone, doing things that you don't ordinarily do that aren't in your repertoire, aren't the kinds of things you practice a whole lot, because you can really get exposed in a hurry when you do that.
How about this question, though? What about fall camp and what he sees between the offensive line and the defensive line, and how his offensive line looks against an elite defensive line when they go good against good? Shouldn't that inform the way he's going to call games?
I think it's interesting, too, Tom, along those lines. Do you go hardcore early? You ones and ones go to war. And I'm talking about physically being a little bit tougher on them ahead of such a physical game already. Do you do that to prepare them? Do you do that to find the answers to your question? Do you say, I got to know, can we legitimately block this up against an elite level defensive line? Because we're going to be facing one, and I've got one right here. Could we at least simulate what that's going to look like? We'll play at pace. We'll have officials. Set the clock. Let's go. Let's go to war.
Well, extend it out. He's got to think about the first month of the season. You're going against 3 of the top 10 consensus defensive lines in the country.
And knowing that, how much do you beat up your guys in this effort to find out whether or not you can block it up with a guy making his first start ever at left tackle potentially? Yeah, I mean, I think it's a tough question, and it's a tough balancing act.
I don't know that he'll answer that next week at the ACC meeting.
He doesn't have to. I wouldn't. What's the point? But, yeah, I mean, I do. I think it's curious. I mean, it's something certainly I won't be afraid to ask.
Well, something along the lines of, especially when you have as grueling of a first month of a season as you do, and now that 2 days are out, how does that change how hard you push these guys on a day-to-day basis? Or do you go by whatever the machines tell you, the vests that the kids are wearing, and then you have a plan A, plan B for this given day, and based upon the feedback you're getting, the weather conditions of the practice and the grueling nature of the practice, that lets you determine an hour out of practice. All right, we're going to go with plan B instead of, making these kids go crazy today.
Well, also, whatever the game plan is dictates how you're going to push and prod. I think if you've decided you want to play a lot of 21 personnel, and you want to go ahead and try to buck up and run the ball and shorten the game and play field position and ride your defense to victory, you better find time somewhere in there to find out if you can line up and block it. I mean, you're going to have to figure that out.
And you've got to figure that out while moving guys in and out of that first team. You got to see who the best 5 are, and how can you do that in this short of a time. That's the thing that the spring didn't afford you. It didn't afford you those reps to see what your starting 5 may look like, because too many of those potentials are out. So what do you do? And you only have a couple of weeks to do it. That maybe he will be ordinary, and that's why he's out of time.
Well, and he all coaches feel that way right about now. July hits, and I think every coach in the country feels like time's of the essence, and that they don't have enough of it, and the frustrations that go along with the rules changes, et cetera. Sure, I believe that's all in play there, but I think too, we talk about the flexibility and or some uncertainty on this offensive line and who's going to be manning those positions, but I actually don't think it's that great a mystery. I think we know, basically, outside of center, with whether or not that's Alec Eberle or Bavion Johnson or Andrew Baselli. It's not going to be Baselli. I think it's going to be Bavion Johnson or Eberle. I think as the year goes along, it's going to be Bavion Johnson, but maybe this first game it's Eberle. I think Eberle's got no shot if it's him physically to do what we need to get done. But from an experience standpoint, he might be the choice. I'm knocking on wood that Bavion continues to push at that position and show that he's ready, because I think physically he's the best suited to give ourselves a chance in a game like this. But we'll see. That's what camp is all about. But I don't think we're really talking about too great a mystery here. Landon Dickerson, provided he's back from the injury and healthy. And again, the timetable suggests he should be. If he's not, we've got problems. But he's the guy. He's starting ahead of Derek Kelly for sure. And Brock Rubel's not going to start ahead of Rick Leonard with the way Rick Leonard ended the season. So we know on the right side what this line's going to look like. It's going to be Rick Leonard. It's going to be Landon Dickerson. And we think at center, it's either Eberle or Johnson. It's one or the other. So no real mystery there. We'll see how the battle plays out. I think Cole Minshew's your left guard. Health is always, that's for any position. We'll find out. And then at left tackle, we think it's Josh Ball.
I hear you, but
no. What I'm saying is, I don't think it's a great mystery. It's just that you can't speed up, the experience timetable. Josh Ball, even if you say, well, it's not a mystery, we're going to start him at left tackle, and that's great because they believe he's got an awful lot of ability. He still has never played a college football game, and he's going against Alabama. And there's nothing I can do in practice to recreate that, but I can find out if physically he's capable of going against elite defense and moving people.
Well, yeah, we've got the ends to test him with.
That's what I mean.
Yes.
We've got that.
I agree with you on the tackles. I just wonder about the interior and if Bavion Johnson
Is
or
a guard?
Baselli, if they are not the center, are they good enough? Are they a better
To
option?
be a part of the five?
Yeah.
Well, who are they replacing? Landon Dickerson or Cole Minshew?
Minshew, I would think.
Maybe. It's possible. They like Minshew.
I know they do, but there was some inconsistency, and that's what camp's about. I got you.
And health. I mean, he's had some health problems that haven't allowed him really to emerge, I don't think. I think they like their options. I mean, they like some of the other guys too. Whether it's Juwan Williams, they like. I know we've had. I think long term they like Baselli at center somewhere because he's a smart kid. I don't think he's physically the same as a Bavion Johnson. Derek Kelly's played a ton. For whatever reason, he has fallen out of favor. They just don't think he's very good, I don't think. But Brock Rubel's played, and, he's an option. Not a great one. But
I'm just wondering, again, on the interior, if there isn't some shuffling there between left guard, right guard, center. It may be that two of your best answers are true centers, but they can be the most responsible for you. Because of Bavion's body type. That's basically what I'm saying. If Bavion doesn't win the center position, I'm not saying that you're going to throw Eberle at right guard or left guard.
No.
But if Bavion doesn't win the
Right,
center
could
position,
he somewhere get in there, yeah.
might he be better suited to play right or left guard?
Well, I think it's imperative that in terms of the long-term success for Florida State on the offensive line, that Landon Dickerson has bounced all the way back from his injury. I mean, he's really going to be very good, I think. I like him a lot.
We joke about it in May, but that's an actual offensive line discussion right there.
And a good one.
You're damn right.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
To help with the purchase of solar water heaters? Visit talgov.com/YOU for information on loans and rebates. So stay cool, go green, and save energy all summer long. A message from the City of Tallahassee Utilities, America's #1 public utility.
The Furniture Bank of Tallahassee, a division of Echo, is the only local program that collects and distributes gently used furniture free of charge to Leon County residents in need. Our free furniture bank donates to eligible clients such as families recovering from fire or disaster, formerly homeless clients moving into their own homes, and veterans in a rehousing program. In 2016, we helped 138 families, including 33 vets, rebuild their lives. For more information or to have your furniture picked up, call 224-ECHO. Call 224-ECHO.
Life. It's made up of the simple day-to-day moments that keep us all running on full of joy, passion, and restlessness. It's singing full on to your car radio with the windows wide open. It's a whole bunch of early morning rush hours and a few late night runs for Rocky Road. It's full of pit stops and drive-thrus. It's life, and we live it between fill-ups at Valero. Valero top-tier certified quality fuel keeps your engine running cleaner, better, and longer. Find a station near you at ValeroCleanGas.com.
You check things all the time, like your email every 10 seconds, or your ex's Instagram. But what about checking something as important as your credit? Well, Discover makes it quick, easy, and best of all, free. Discover is now offering FICO credit scores to everyone for free, even if you're not a customer. And checking your score won't hurt your credit. We call it the Discover Credit Scorecard. And once you know your score, you should check to see if your current credit card is the best fit for you. Check your credit, compare your card. Go to discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Hey, this is Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. No one besides us wants to hear that you need a new roof. It's one of the biggest home improvements you have to make, and Parker Brothers Roofing understands. We now offer financing for 0% over 60 months. Yes, that's 5 years. Call us today for 5 years interest-free financing on that new roof. 656-8112. That's 656-8112, or go to parkerbrothersroofing.net.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Wonder what the outrageously energizing experience of Mountain Dew Kickstart is like? Well, it's like a combo of 3 awesome things. Dew, juice, and caffeine, rebooting your entire personal operating system.
Mountain Dew Kickstart is in position for consumption. All systems cleared for launch. Initiate launch sequence. T-minus 3, 2, 1, mark. Release the Mountain Dew Kickstart. Mountain Dew Kickstart released. Experiencing a charge of Mountain Dew Kickstart now.
Mountain Dew Kickstart operation successful.
You are now off the couch and out exploring the world. Roger that.
Get charged up for what's coming next anytime, anywhere with Mountain Dew Kickstart. Available in 10 energizing flavors like mango lime, raspberry citrus, midnight grape, and orange citrus. Mountain Dew Kickstart. Fuel with flavor.
RCD Shell knows how to keep you cool and refreshed. All 20-ounce Pepsi and Mountain Dew products are 2 for $2.22. That's right, 2 for $2.22. And 28-ounce Gatorade is buy one, get one free. It's more fun with Pepsi and Dew, so bring on the bubbles with these cool prices at RCD Shell.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. It's Libations Friday, brought to you by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachia Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sounds like Prince in this song.
Yeah. Bono's hitting the upper end of his registry there. That's so So I would note that here's an opportunity, if you would, please cue up the fun and let's get some people to the big time wrestling event at the Civic Center right around the corner. Looking forward to it.
Yo, dog, you seen this gold freak coming here, man? Been stalking me all week. I can't get rid of it.
Who said it? Who is it?
That's a tough one.
523-3776, caller 1, 523-3776. First caller, make it happen. Play it again. Tickets to wrestling on the lines.
Yo, dog, you seen this gold freak coming here, man? Been stalking me all week. I can't get rid of it.
If you can name the man responsible for that there clip, you will win a pair of tickets to see wrestling. WWE coming to Tallahassee. That's a glorious thing. TLC double C, as I like to call it.
I'm proud of that one because that's a good bit. That's actually a good WWE bit in its history.
And on Monday when we do it, we'll go way back. This is a more modern one. We'll go back a ways. We'll go find an old school guy, maybe a Bam Bam Bigelow or a King Kong Bundy. I had an infatuation with the fattest of the fat wrestlers for the longest periods of time because I would wonder aloud, how long will they be participating before their death is announced? You cannot be 600-700 pounds and expect to be around very long. And they had a series of guys that were just absolutely behemoth.
Yeah, obviously there was Yokozuna towards the end of.
Yeah. He didn't last long, did he?
No.
Wasn't his big thing to sit on you?
Yeah, I think so.
Like his big thing was to rub his big fat butt in your face or something?
Okay,
I think that's what he did, right?
That's what Rikishi did too, or Rikishi. And he had the stink face, I think is what they called it.
That was what it was called?
Then they also had Mark Henry, who was known as the world's
Mark Henry's still around.
Man. Yeah.
Chocolate, whatever, yeah.
Chocolate Thunder.
Yeah, he's still around, right?
Or actually Sexual Chocolate,
Sexual Chocolate, yeah.
Stealing from Coming to America.
Yeah. So, and he literally was, of course, strongman Olympic.
Yes.
Yeah. And massive.
A huge guy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Massive guy.
Yeah.
Both physically massive in terms of muscle mass, but also fat.
Then they had a guy, Viscera, who had a bleach blonde mohawk, and he had those blue contact lenses in his eyes. He was part of, The Undertaker's ministry.
Oh, I don't remember this. Those are good days right there.
The ministry, yeah, that's man.
That's good stuff.
They captured Stephanie McMahon and they put her on it looks like a crucifix. Oh, dude.
They were really getting after it. Going all in, yeah.
It was dark.
I like it. I always root for them to go darker. Go dark. Macabre.
You would love it in particular because they had druids. They had druids.
Yeah, if you can add druids to anything,
they were lining the walkway as the Undertaker was coming in. Oh, yeah.
Well, they had druids. I think they had druids when I went to WrestleMania down in Miami. When he came out, I think
Did they?
I think they had some druids, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I mean, that was the whole reason I went. It was a spectacle, was just to see that.
The game that you'd want that for this year in Doak would be Miami
druids? I want
Louisville.
Druids. Well, Louisville.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
How far Miami has fallen.
Slayer, Druids, blood-curdling screams, blood on the uniform. Yes, I'd like buckets of blood thrown into the air.
So we'd wear the whites.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah, it would turn garnet by the end of the night.
The rule is to not run away from a bear. A professional runner ran away from a bear. Was smart to do so. Mandinda Marubu knows what to do when you encounter a black bear. Stand your ground. But that's not what he did. Quote, at that time, you cannot think about standing your ground when a bear starts to run at you. Sir, I agree. I have often heard of this stand your ground nonsense, and I've often thought nobody does that. Nobody would come over a hill to find their gaze upon a black bear or a grizzly, at which time the grizzly or black bear turns and runs at you, and you say, must stand my ground. My ass. You are looking for trees, even armed with the knowledge that bears do indeed climb trees and that you are not safe there. It is still a natural reaction to look for a tree to hide behind and or climb. If you're anywhere near a facility of some sort, then you are going to run towards said facility, civilization if you will, as opposed to standing in the woods, standing your ground, waiting to be mauled by a charging bear. They do these kinds of things all the time. They give you advice like punch a shark in the nose. And if an 18-foot great white shark rolls upon you as you find yourself in the middle of the sea, the thought of punching him in the face to save your life is not really something that you use calculatingly. It's something you would do naturally, just punching, kicking, screaming, praying, whatever it might be. It's all futile. It's not going to work. You're dead. But running from the bear, if the bear is running at you, seems logical. The sitting still, if the bear is still, seems also logical. You can trigger a bear or any other animal's instinct to chase if you run.
And you show them your back as you're doing so, especially. Yes.
That is correct. So I'm aware of that situation and would say, yes, if I come around said corner and there sits a bear of any kind and he is just sitting there, I might not then turn and run and trigger that response. I would stay still until the bear takes a step towards me. I'm not waiting to see if he's deciding to come get me. I'm going. My man Marubu did just that. He was a third of the way through his 18-mile run near Maine's Auburn Lake. First of all, he's running 18 miles. That automatically makes him a badass and crazy. It was on a Wednesday when two bears, not one, but two bears suddenly appeared. When they spotted him, they stopped, and he stopped. I've been running this road for 4 years. I've never thought of meeting a bear here, Marubu said. Unfortunately, today was my day to meet a bear. I like this guy a lot, by the way. What he should have done next depended on the kind of bear and the type of situation. See, here we go again with this nonsense from the Alaska Department of Fish and Game and National Park Service. Play dead if a bear is attacking to defend itself or its cubs. Fight back if it's trying to eat you. Huh? How do I know what it's doing, why it's attacking me? Unless I see the cubs. But even then, who's sitting there calmly going, what's the rule again? Is he attacking me right now because there are, or she is attacking me because there are cubs here? Oh, yeah, I'm supposed to play dead. No, I think this bear is trying to eat me. Oh, I'm supposed to fight back in this situation.
You're supposed to declare, what is the nature of your aggression? What is the nature of your aggression?
For black bears, fighting back is almost always your best defense. No, that is always your best defense, period. I like, too, that they suggest you stay calm. Sirs, I'm going to stay calm when I am, in the natural order of things, out of place. I am not atop the food chain in this situation. Do wildebeest stay calm as they're being attacked by lions? I think not. They're of nature more than I am. They don't stay calm. They don't relax and try to figure out cool, calm, collected ways to avoid said attack and whether or not this is brought upon because they're the next meal or they're defending their cubs. Don't climb a tree. Black bears, brown bears too, can climb. And don't run. Bears can easily outrun humans, and running trigger the animal's instinctual response to chase. No, 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 no. In the seconds after seeing what he said were black bears, Marube, a competitive runner who had raced the day before, see, so why was he out running 18 miles? He had just raced the day before. Had to make a quick decision. Either to climb up this tree or run. I like that he's not even thinking about all of these rules that they try to tell you about. He's looking at trees to climb, which they tell you not to do, and places to run, which they tell you not to do.
What is the nature of your aggression?
He also thought about running to the lake. But I can't swim, and bears can climb and swim. So he ran. There you go. Well done. Hell of a thing to drown running away from a bear, right? So just 20 yards back, he had passed a house on the lake. He was reminded of that. The house would be his refuge, he thought. I wasn't going to fight them. As soon as he turned, the bears gave chase, unlike what they were describing with Michael Phelps' Great White Shark Challenge, where he raced one, but he was not a threat to be eaten by it because it was, he knew I got to get away. I got to win this race. I'm in trouble. Last month, a 16-year-old runner in Alaska was chased and killed by a 180-pound male black bear after the teenager got off the trail. Don't do that. Can't get off the trail. Also, that kid, by the way, sad as it is, tragic as it is that he was caught and eaten while off the trail on a run, took the time to text his parents that a bear was chasing him. That's bizarre. That's weird.
Just want to let you guys know.
I'm currently being chased by a bear while texting you.
TTYL.
By the way, it worked this way. The lower 48, Maine has about 36,000 black bears, more than any other state in the eastern United States. My man made it back to the house. His primary concern was to do so. He found that the unoccupied house had a porch. Ran up the steps, unhooked the screen door, stepped inside the elevated porch. The bears decided to come after him. Up the stairs they came. Man, that's got to suck. They could see me and I could see them. They sniffed at the door, but the bears did not try to enter. I watched as they went back down the steps and began to explore the side of the house before they ran off into the woods. Woo! Good on you, Marube. That's the way you do it right there, Tom. You run. You don't sit around with that needless advice of sitting still.
Kick him in the nuts. That's what you do.
I don't think that's going to work either. I think you turn and run, especially if you're reminded that there's a house just 20 yards away and you're really good at running.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Blountstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Hey, I'm Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. Some roofers are like a bad boyfriend. They make lots of promises, but in reality, they're just cheap. They don't own up to their mistakes, and they leave you with a lot of regret. Parker Brothers Roofing stands behind every installation, and if a mistake is made, we own it and fix it. Our customers never have to worry about being left behind for the next job. At Parker Brothers, it's quality that builds our quantity. Call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Wonder what the outrageously energizing experience of Mountain Dew Kickstart is like? Well, it's like a combo of three awesome things. Dew, juice, and caffeine, rebooting your entire personal operating system.
Mountain Dew Kickstart is in position for consumption. All systems cleared for launch. Initiate launch sequence. T-minus 3, 2, 1, mark. Release the Mountain Dew Kickstart. Mountain Dew Kickstart released. Experiencing a charge of Mountain Dew Kickstart now.
Mountain Dew Kickstart operation successful.
You are now off the couch and out exploring the world. Roger that.
Get charged up for what's coming next anytime, anywhere with Mountain Dew Kickstart. Available in 10 energizing flavors like mango lime, raspberry citrus, midnight grape, and orange citrus. Mountain Dew Kickstart. Fuel with flavor.
RCD Shell knows how to keep you cool and refreshed. All 20-ounce Pepsi and Mountain Dew products are 2 for $2.22. That's right, 2 for $2.22. And 28-ounce Gatorade is buy one, get one free. It's more fun with Pepsi and Dew, so bring on the bubbles with these cool prices at RCD Shell.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan in Tallahassee. Thank you for last month and getting us to our quarterly sales objective. But just when you thought it was over, Nissan Corporate has come back to say we're carrying all incentives over again through July 17th. These incentives are crazy big. $3,000 off MSRP on all, not one or some, but all Versa sedans and Notes, Sentras, and Frontiers. $4,000 off on all Rogues. $5,000 off MSRP on all Muranos. $6,000 off all Altimas, from the S model to the SL model, all. And $7,000 off MSRP on all Maximas. Seriously, at Kraft Nissan, we have people that come in looking for a used vehicle and switch to a new Nissan for less money per month because of the huge discounts and 0% interest for 72 months. At Kraft Nissan, we're not kidding. You owe it to yourself to just come in and try us on. I promise you, you won't be disappointed, and you will go home in a new Nissan at an unbelievable price and a low payment. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco. We have over 400 new Nissans in stock.
The Home Depot has a new idea. Free carpet installation that means free carpet installation. Clearing out furniture? Free. Ripping out old carpet? No charge. Hauling it away? On the house. No hidden fees, just free installation on carpet $699 or more. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. Valid on carpet priced $1 or more per square foot. Unique specialty items and requirements may be priced separately. Not valid in all markets. See HomeDepot.com for details. Offer ends August 16th.
This is Shaquille O'Neal.
And the Shaquettes.
Reminding you that anytime is a good time.
Good time.
For the cooling, drying, fresh scent of Gold Bond powder spray. Like after the gym.
Or a crowded elevator ride.
Or golf.
Or working with farm animals.
Or a hard day's work.
Like sportscasting.
You said it, ladies. Stay cool with Gold Bond powder spray.
Stay cool with Gold Bond.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
I appreciate you, Dave. And I appreciate the picture of Steve Adazio you just sent me. Steve Adazio is looking forward to seeing you again. And I am looking forward to seeing Steve Adazio again. We have a strange kinship. You think Steve will remember me?
Oh, I think so. I think he remembers the ones that weren't exactly punctual.
You make it sound like I was 10 minutes late. I was 30 seconds late, and I was hustling down the stairs with coffee in hand. He was sitting on time. Early, some might note.
Didn't know my mic was on. I could hear me clicking feverishly. Sorry about that.
Do you have my opening question to Adazio from last year?
I do not.
I think you were even impressed with the seasoned veteran nature of my ability to turn it all around despite frazzled, racing, hungover, tired without a coffee sip to be, and how we immediately got him back on track.
Yeah. Can you expect to be a big-time player? It's something like that, right? Can you expect big-time investment at Boston College?
Well, I said you've coached at big-time schools that make the investment in order to win in college football.
We all know what that question means. I mean, that lead-in.
Yeah. And he appreciated the frankness of that question, especially as a leadoff. I mean, that was straight up, let's be honest here, Steve. You're at Boston College. You were the head coach at Florida. What can you reasonably expect to accomplish at Boston College without me saying, what can you reasonably expect to accomplish?
And then the intensity continued, and it was pervasive, even though the fire alarms were going off in the background.
Yeah, we
the
were,
entire time.
We were locked in. We were locked in. I went to that place in my mind. I said, Steve demands professionalism, but he also is looking at me sternly because I'm running a few seconds behind. He needs to know that I know what the damn dealio is, and boom, we went rolling.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
And I think in that moment, he's like, oh, this is just two guys talking some football.
Being dudes.
Being dudes.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
I will see you soon, Adazio. We will have our talk.
And a pastry.
I'll bring one for you, and I'll be on time.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Compare your card. Go to discover.com/credit scorecard. Limitations apply.
Staples knows that behind every honor roll student is an honor roll mom. The kind who doesn't get schooled when back-to-school shopping. The kind who always has her kids' backs and their new backpacks. The kind of moms who know they can get great prices on everything they need for back-to-school at Staples. And right now, Staples composition books, Crayola 24-pack crayons, and 2-pocket polyfolders are just 50 cents. Get everything they need for less. Staples, it's pro time. While supplies last. Ends 9/2/17. Limit 30 in-store, 10 online. Crayola offer available in-store only.
This weekend, every drop of paint at the Home Depot has even better coverage, thanks to red, white, and blue savings of $10 off 1-gallon cans and $40 off 5-gallon buckets. That means more paint for less money, so you can cover more walls, more rooms, and more of your budget than ever before. So, how's that for great coverage? Unbelievable quality, unbeatable prices. Red, white, and blue savings now at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. U.S. only, valid through July 5th.
This morning you skipped breakfast, then you took an algebra test. U minus food equals sad. Hunger plus math equals bad. Divided by no sleep, this equation is getting deep. Here's your answer.
When your morning is hell, just go to Taco Bell.
When you've had a morning, let us make you breakfast, like Taco Bell's new breakfast quesadilla. Eggs, bacon, and cheese pressed inside a grilled tortilla. At participating stores during breakfast hours.
Be the host with the most and get the most savings at the Home Depot's Red, White, and Blue Savings event with up to 40% off appliance special buys. Like the GE stainless steel gas range, a Home Depot exclusive, with convection oven, non-stick griddle, and extra large burners now for just $5.98. That's over $400 in savings. Shop our lowest prices of the season, only at the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. U.S. only while supplies last. See store for details. Valid 6/21 through 7/12.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon. If you want a ticket to the hot game on September the 2nd, Florida State and Alabama, you're going to have to find a good friend that can give you one. Organizers from the Chick-fil-A kickoff game announced today it is officially sold out 2 months before kickoff at the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Well, Sporting News has named Jimbo Fisher the 4th best recruiter in all of college football. They ranked 130 coaches. Nick Saban number 1, Urban Meyer 2, and Dabo Swinney comes in at number 3. Cleveland Indians manager Terry Francona will not manage the All-Star game next week. week in Miami after undergoing a heart procedure on Thursday. His coaching staff from the Indians will take his place. Well, how about this? You know the NBA has been spending a lot of money lately. How about Knicks' Tim Hardaway Jr.? 4 years, $71 million, all guaranteed to the offer sheet. That means he's going to make more money this year than Tom Brady will for the New England Patriots.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. It's Libations Friday, brought to you by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Corner Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachia Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for this week. Happy Libations Friday, loosey-goosey edition of the program. Thanks for tuning to it. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming, free always. Don't miss anything. But if you do, we've got you covered all 3 hours, posted every day upon the conclusion of the program, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. That's all brought to you with limited commercial interruption. Thanks to our great sponsor, Carlton Dean, and the fine folks Southland Commercial, SVN. Go to carltondean.com. Learn more about income-producing properties, off-market deals, commercial real estate, carltondean.com. Email the show if you like. It's jcs@979espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter, @JCameronShow. WTSM app for your mobile devices. There you go, all caught up. YouTube, ESPN Tallahassee. Thanks for watching for those of you that are there. You know, I get excited, and we've been building up to this about how close we are to college football, but one of the things I don't like is the actual substance doesn't really begin until Wednesday or Thursday of next week when ACC kickoffs begin. So instead you read articles like the one I read during the break a moment ago and then feel compelled because it has applicable FSU-related news to open with it because I find it interesting. You and I hate this. We hate the process of this, trying to figure out how to rank coaches properly. Sporting News did it.
They do it every year. They're the one that ranked Jimbo like 25th or whatever one year.
Yeah, that was hilarious, and I made fun of, was it Dennis Dodd or was it, I can't remember which
year
it was.
A different guy.
Might have been Dodd. I don't remember. But anyhow, the point would be this. They had him way down low, but I always feel like it's kind of an impossible task because it's never apples to apples. I mean, I feel like you can rank coaches who have everything at their disposal in a different category than the guy that takes a nothing program with very little in the way of facilities or recruiting edge and does more with them. I mean, if you go 6-6 at a place where it's impossible to get any kind of consistency when it comes to recruiting elite talent, you could be doing a much better job than the guy that goes 10-3 at a place where he has everything he could ever ask for.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. You know, it's funny, too. You've mentioned for a little while now, and this week being a couple of times, it's an interesting season for what we think of Coach Fisher to be and where the program is, because there is no doubt that when this whole thing started, he took this program from a place that was bare when you're talking about facilities, infrastructure, talent, and coaching staff talent. I mean, and he filled it all up.
And modern approaches to practice and to the game. I mean, we were really
nutrition. I mean, all that stuff.
That, yeah.
Yes, and there was a complete overhaul process. You win a national title. You win 29 games in a row. You make it to the first ever college football playoff in a year when you're the reigning title holders, and that's a hard thing to do to follow up that success. But then there was 2015, and we knew it would be a rebuilding year, and then we thought 2016, all right, all systems go again. All right. Don't have another 3-loss season now, because then that changes the conversation from he was a guy that we needed at the time we needed him to, okay, now that second wave that, you know, should be coming along with the talent that comes in here every year, that second wave of success probably should be any day now.
Should be pretty easy for you to do this, for anybody to do this. Let's, along those same lines, go ahead, quickly go through it. Number one, obviously, you have him, I have him, so does Sporting News have him, and Nick Saban, number one. college coaches. Number 2?
Urban Meyer.
Okay,
easily.
you ready? Easily. There you go. Number 3?
That's where it gets a little difficult.
I think it really begins to get very difficult there because I think there are a lot of candidates, including Jimbo Fisher.
Probably Dabo at this point.
They have Dabo there. That is correct.
I think that's right.
Last year he was 4. This year he's 3, 89 and 28. They did Sporting News. We could have put Sweeney at number 2, but we're holding off for now. 6 straight double-digit win seasons and back-to-back championship appearances, not to mention a pair of head-to-head wins against the next coach, which is Jimbo Fisher. The next 2 coaches, however, may have done it more than once, or have done it more than once. So, this is a moving scale. They've got Fisher here at 4, 78 and 17. Last year he was 3. Fisher operates on 10 wins or more standard, and that success helped elevate the entire profile of the ACC. Clemson has won the last 2 conference championships, but the Noles will be right back in the mix this year. Fisher, also a masterful recruiter, who manages to hold off rivals on all sides in a Bowden-esque fashion that deserves more praise. So high praise for Jimbo Fisher there, as they have on this list. Number 5 is Jim Harbaugh, grossly overrated, as I believe you have to be if you've yet to win anything of any significance, and that is the case at Michigan.
I needed to beat Ohio State last year.
Yeah.
Last year was the year to get Ohio State. This was supposed to be the year that they were, matching talent with experience.
Here's the thing. He's 49 and 27. Last year he was 6th. They have him at 5th this year. He's the highest-ranked coach without a national championship after back-to-back 10-win seasons. But Michigan's schedule was called into question a year ago, and frankly they had a couple of embarrassing hiccups there. Well, one in particular against Iowa, who was not any good. The turnaround at Michigan is impressive. What he's done almost immediately is make an impact on both the on-the-field and off-the-field successes for that program. But at some point, I understand you have top 5 recruiting classes now where that wasn't happening prior to his arrival, and expectations have been rightly elevated because of that talent uptick. You have to win something before we can continue to prattle on about your acumen. There's no question Jim Harbaugh is a great coach. He was a great coach at Stanford. He was a great coach with the San Francisco 49ers, and he's doing a good job at Michigan. But when you come back into the college game and you've yet to win anything of significance, I'm sorry. This is largely based on previous reputation successes.
Yeah, you got to run down Urban Meyer, plain and simple. He's in your division.
And it's not easy.
Right. No, it's not. Nobody's saying it was, but we thought, okay, Urban had the early success at Ohio State. Will this follow the form of what happened in Gainesville, where all of a sudden somebody else goes to the same portion, in our case it was the state, but in the same portion of the country, is able to recruit at his level, and then they challenge him, they overtake him, and he decides, I've had enough. It looked like it was following that same pattern, but it's been put off. It's been put on hold. Last year was supposed to be the changing of the guard, or at least the real beginning of that rivalry again, being at the pinnacle of the sport. We'll see what happens this year, but, Michigan purged how many players? Like all of their players with experience?
Virtually.
I think 5 people come back and start for them this year?
Well, and it's something that you and I, is it that many? I thought it was fewer. I'll just say that we keep going back to, we're going to talk about the importance of Florida State, Alabama, but man, that Michigan-Florida game is huge for both those guys.
Yeah.
Now, Harbaugh ain't going anywhere. So you could argue it's certainly much bigger for McElwain. But I think it's big for Harbaugh. Again, we're talking about the perception of what Michigan is now has changed because of his ability to come in and immediately change the culture and to recruit at a high level again. But as far as on-field successes for a resume-building top 5 coach's resume, I think you're having a harder time really fulfilling that, because I could just as easily tell you Chris Peterson could be at number 3 on this list. You go to a place like Boise State and win now. You go to Washington and take them to the playoffs that quickly. Chris Peterson probably deserves to be ahead of Jim Harbaugh. You could argue he deserves to be ahead of any number of coaches.
Sure, and especially if this is a sliding scale on what you've done the last 2 or 3 seasons versus what you've done in your career. It looks like they're doing a little bit of both, and talking out of both sides of their mouth with career, reputation, and they list, for example, they say, well, this is the first coach without a national title on his resume. Well, that Jimbo was 2013. So, how far back are we going to go and give a coach credit for in these coach power rankings? But if you're talking about in the now, what more do you need to do to validate your resume if you're Chris Peterson? Good Lord. You took a nothing program, put them in BCS bowls, and now you've taken Washington, which has been dormant for, 20 years? and put them in the college football playoff, that's a hell of a validation of what you did at Boise State.
I always find the coaching rankings very difficult because I don't think it's as cut and dry as fans like to make it. It's very difficult because of expectations, resources, what's a fair or reasonable expectations at these schools based on those resources, based on their commitment to football as a whole. Like, what's Mark Richt?
Well,
Mark Richt's a good coach.
He's an above-average coach.
He's number 9 on the list here.
Yeah.
He's the 3rd ACC coach on their top 10 list. There is no question whether you think Mark belongs at 9, 2, or 50. There is no question, and he certainly doesn't belong at 2. There's no question that the ACC's rise in overall level of play and consistency and place within the upper echelon of college football coincides with the uptick in much better coaching. Dabo Swinney's turned out to be a very good head coach. Whether I mock him or not for personality and goofballness, it doesn't matter. He's a good coach. He's put together a good staff. He recruits. They win. Jimbo Fisher's a good coach. And Mark Richt's a good coach. He's the less successful of the aforementioned ACC coaches. But I think Miami's going to be pretty good this year, and I think they're the odds-on favorite to win the Coastal. And if he can do that, it's something Miami hasn't been able to do since joining the ACC. That would be a pretty big impact right away.
A quick aside on Harbaugh real quick. The other week I caught the tail end of the Crabtree game. You know, the Crabtree, don't ever talk about me. Well, Harbaugh was in the exact same circumstance that he was in for the Orange Bowl. 2 timeouts and below 40 seconds on the play clock, so you're just calling timeouts to be a jerk. I thought it was particular to the instance in the Orange Bowl that he was pissed on the way the game finished. No, he did that in the NFL too. So there is a bit of a track record of him being a horse's ass in those situations. But back to the actual top 10 and top 25 list, I think the fascinating debate is Dabo definitively right now a better coach than Jimbo Fisher? Because if you look at his past 3-4 seasons worth of success,
the answer has to be yes.
It has to be, right? Yeah. But
now,
that's a little bit jarring to a market like, Tallahassee, Florida.
Well, again, in basing on what you're tasked with the responsibility of doing as a head coach, the answer is yes. Do any of us think that Dabo Swinney knows more about football or play calling than Jimbo Fisher? No. I mean, resoundingly no. But that's not all that you do as a head coach. And this gets back to the mistakes I used to make regarding Les Miles. Les Miles was an end-of-the-game idiot. Buffoonish with the way and the creative ways in which he found to butcher clock management and end-of-game scenarios. But LSU was the model of consistency. They recruited exceptionally well in the toughest conference in America. He had won a national championship, consistently won 11 games. His players would run through fire for him. So I'm wrong. It doesn't matter that he butchers the end-of-game scenarios. It's a weakness, but the overriding coaching resume suggested at that time, not anymore, obviously got fired, Les was a very good football coach, period. And it's because I stopped thinking so narrowly. It was for so long I always thought if you didn't have elite coaching acumen from a strategy standpoint, from an X's and O's of the game standpoint, I had a hard time including you on the list of my elite coaches because I didn't think you knew as much as the next guy, or you certainly didn't call plays as well as the next guy, or run defenses as well as the next guy. But you're a CEO as a head coach, and even though your strength may very well be being a play caller or a quarterback coach or whatever it might be, you are in charge of the entirety of this here program.
And that's the thing. If you were to look at strengths and weaknesses, you'd say, all right, Jimbo, acumen for the game, acumen for offensive football, recruiting. He's a better recruiter. Jimbo is a much better recruiter than Dabo is. But we've been top ACC class for like how many years running? Every year since he's been here? We've been the top ACC class across the consensus of the business. So he's a better recruiter. You throw out infrastructure and facilities because that's a university-specific deal. Clemson's got more money than we do, so they can have the better facilities. That's why they have the players, sanctuary, to steal a term from Rick Pitino, but they have the players' sanctuary that Jimbo doesn't have quite yet.
IPTAY Fund helps, yep.
IPTAY helps. But when you look at hiring support staffs and delegating, I mean, damn. And relatability to the players, it seems like players attached to that guy across.
Players love him.
Yes.
Adore him.
They do. They do.
And there's no question.
And it's not like, Freeman or Joyner or Jameis don't love Jimbo Fisher, but it just seems to be.
Personality types are different, man. He's a little bit more bristly, a little bit more difficult.
Yes.
It doesn't mean he can't be a great coach or isn't a great coach. Just very different. There are players, coaches who lose a lot of games too.
And then the results speak for themselves. I mean, in years that they didn't win the ACC, they're beating Ohio State and Oklahoma, and then they go to the playoff and they beat Ohio State and Oklahoma again.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 2-0 against Urban Meyer, and he's beaten Les Miles in the Peach Bowl, and he's beaten Bob Stoops twice, and he's beaten Nick Saban and gotten back there after being in the championship and losing a close game the first time around.
It's not arguable right now.
Yeah.
It's not even. I know that maybe you're just reiterating that because I think our fan base has a hard time
That's
hearing
why.
it,
That's
accepting
precisely
it.
why.
But based on recent successes, it is a sliding scale. He has moved ahead. Jimbo's got a chance to regain his place. He's got a chance to move all the way up to number 2 at some point. I mean, if he can go, what if they win a national championship this year? And he will have won 2 national championships in 5 years, and he will have, I mean, at that point, he is number 2.
Oh, yeah. He overtakes Urban because this is his first head coaching job.
Right. See how quickly that can all shift. It can all change. What if James Franklin wins the Big Ten again and then goes and, I say again, did they win the Big Ten? No, Ohio State won the Big Ten. No, Penn State did, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what if Penn State wins again and then he goes and makes the college football playoff? All of a sudden, where's James Franklin? Well, right now he's outside the top 10, but he would move into the top 10 with the quickness.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's the Chris Peterson theorem, is it not?
Right.
I mean, what he did at Vandy is akin to, they didn't go to BCS Bowls, but, I mean, given there wasn't a path. You have to go through the SEC. It's not like you're playing a bunch of also-rans, and then you got to win 1 or 2 big games a year like Peterson did, and then he goes to Penn State and validates what he did at Vandy? Absolutely. And he was teetering. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, it's fun.
But they lost to Pitt.
Where do you go with Bobby Petrino? Nobody's going to second-guess that guy's acumen.
Yeah, begrudgingly, you got to put him in the top dozen.
Now, this isn't a list of good people. This is just
even before we got to Petrino. I don't know that this was a list of good people.
I'm just saying. I mean, this is a list of what do you know? How well do you get a program?
How well do you move cars?
Yeah, and he can move them. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Wild boar. Yeah, not a tame one. Could he beat a boar?
No.
It would. That'd be a quick fight.
That would be, well.
Boars, I think they eat you too afterwards.
Oh, they'll eat you.
They eat you.
Everything.
That's the best thing about a boar.
That's why you can never trust people that have pigs, man.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan in Tallahassee. Thank you for last month and getting us to our quarterly sales objective. But just when you thought it was over, Nissan Corporate has come back to say we're carrying all incentives over again through July 17th. These incentives are crazy big. $3,000 off MSRP on all, not one or some, but all Versa sedans and Notes, Sentras and Frontiers. $4,000 off on all Rogues. $5,000 off MSRP on all Muranos. $6,000 off all Altimas, from the S model to the SL model, all. And $7,000 off MSRP on all Maximas. Seriously, at Kraft Nissan, we have people that come in looking for a used vehicle and switch to a new Nissan for less money per month because of the huge discounts and 0% interest for 72 months. At Kraft Nissan, we're not kidding. You owe it to yourself to just come in and try us on. I promise you, you won't be disappointed, and you will go home in a new Nissan at an unbelievable price and a low payment. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco. We have over 400 new Nissans in stock.
Hey, Wally Woodham here. In 1974, I set the national high school passing record at Leon High with 3,560 yards.
Jimmy Jordan here. Wally, I broke your passing record at Leon the very next year.
Well, Jimmy, in our 3 years together at FSU, I threw for 22 touchdown passes.
Wally, that's pretty good, but I had 39.
Well, Jimmy, look at the deal I got at AAA Transmission.
That's a pretty good deal, Wally. At least your car's a winner.
Don't put off your auto repairs. Stop in at AAA Transmission and ask for owner Tim Pridgeon, servicing Tallahassee for over 30 years. AAA Transmission, 1023 North Monroe Street, or call them at 222-2532. It's back. The 14th annual Kingfish Shootout held in Carabel, Florida. August 5th and 6th is almost here. Entry fees are $300 per boat, and donations of $1,000 or more will receive one free boat entry. Fishing hours are Saturday 7 to 7 and Sunday 7 to 4. All boats must check in at the check-in station by 7 p.m. on Saturday and 4 p.m. on Sunday. Boats can be in the water but can't pass the checkout point until 6 a.m. both days. There will be a captain's meeting at Sea Quarters Marina Friday, August 4th at 6 p.m. Mandatory one person per boat must be present for rules. Sea Quarters Marina, 501 St. James Avenue, Highway 98 Carabel, 850-697-8400.
Cornerstone and DeWalt FlexVolt. Power of corded, freedom of cordless. Buy any of the following DeWalt T1 FlexVolt kits for only $2.99. 60-volt max grinder kit with battery pack, 60-volt brushless recip saw kit, or 60-volt circular saw with brake kit. And add one FlexVolt 60-volt battery pack for free. A $149 value and a Cornerstone-only exclusive. Check out the sound of silence. Almost. Power of gas without noise and fumes. Cornerstone Tool and Fastener. Your DeWalt FlexVolt Center. 1110 Stuckey Ave and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Tallahassee location open Saturdays, 8 a.m. to noon.
You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
And it's just fun for you. My kids love Maiden.
I can understand why.
That's awesome.
How can you not love it?
My youngest is a metalhead. I Avenged Sevenfold, like modern metal.
Oh, really?
But all they're doing is paying homage to like Iron Maiden.
Right.
So it's not bad. Like I can live with that because it's well done. It's well crafted.
So he likes contact sports and metal.
Oh, he's
wrestling.
He's gonna be a problem. He's tough. And I tell his brother all the time, I'm like, man, you bet when you pick on Clark now, just know the retorts aren't going to be fun because he's bigger than you because he's thicker. He's the second kid. So the second kid has always got to be tougher because they got less attention. Parents are tired at that point. If you're a third or fourth or fifth kid, good God, you're probably the toughest person on earth.
It's like, oh, yeah, it's your 7th birthday.
Yeah.
I remember Bryce's 7th birthday a couple of years ago.
But that's the mental aspect, the psychology. I think just the physical part of being tougher because when you fall, your parents don't coddle you when you're the second or third kid. They've already seen that they can't kill you. So, like, when you're first a parent, you literally worry that you're going to let the kid die. That's on your mind. Like, we can't let the kid die. It's like a puppy. They can kill themselves. They don't know what they're doing. You got to watch them. They'll just run right out in the street or kids are that way. You're like, all right, as long as we don't kill the kid, everything's all right. We got to let them get to an age because babies they're helpless. They're pitiful. It's embarrassing. So if you don't do by them, they die.
Well, the thing that freaks me out too is the idea of a baby rolling over.
Oh, right. Yeah.
From their back. But if they're at a certain young age, They can't. They don't have the strength to
They
do
don't
it.
have the stomach muscles to
That
do
still
it.
freaks me the hell out when I see like a couple months old baby on his back or her back, and she's doing this number in the crib,
Like
I'm
a
going,
she's
She's gonna flip over. This is not cool, man. You
But-
can't do that.
Yeah, and by the way, all that information is conflicting about sleeping on the stomach or the back. You could drive yourself crazy depending on what you're reading. I will tell you this, that when you find out how malleable your kids really are is when you go in to check on them when they first learn how to stand up in the crib. It's not long after they first learn how to put their hands up on the things to pull themselves up. They're not strong enough to pull themselves out necessarily, but then one day they are. And you don't know that until it happens. And they fall on their face out of the crib. And you go running in there. But there was a time where Bryce pulled himself out of the crib. I walked in there. He'd been out of the crib for who knows how long. He was just kind of wandering about the room, didn't even cry.
The earliest memory I have in my childhood, and I'm sure there's some science that says it's impossible, but I do remember this. I swear it. We were in New York before we ever moved down to Florida. So this is before 1989. And I can recall getting out of the crib and then crawling down the stairs backwards because it's on the second floor, and then seeing my mom in the kitchen from the ground floor. And
That's crazy.
She was stunned. And she tells me that that's exactly what happened.
Well, I think you probably can remember that because I have a memory from being less than 2 years old, less than a year and a half old, flying from Europe to the United States. We lived in Holland, and I was on an airplane, and my specific memory is looking out and seeing all of the fog. And I'm sure I didn't know what it was, but it was different, and my mom is sitting next to me in the plane. And I've asked her about that. She's like, yeah, we definitely flew from Holland to New York. Yeah. So it's you probably can't. It's just fleeting, those little glimpse. You don't remember anything else about that year.
Oh, no.
Long story short, Clark is tough. When he started to fall after Bryce fell and we realized that he's not going to hurt themselves, then you're just like, get up. There's a toughness that gets born into that. And now Clark loves, like I said, he loves wrestling. He loves metal. He loves...
Well, you said he crashed his bike going down the hill. Is that what it was?
Oh, my God.
But he took it like a champ?
I wouldn't know.
He was just angry?
He was just angry. That's what he does when he gets hurt. He gets angry. He doesn't cry. He just grits his teeth, and then he'll look at the injury like it's a grievous to him, like personally. Like, how dare you? How dare you split open? You're supposed to stay together. This hurts. Damn it. This is an inconvenience. This pain I'm feeling, this frustration. And he just gets angry. It's bizarre. But it's a cool way to deal with pain. Not, oh, my God. No, it's like, damn it. This hurts, and I don't like the feeling of being in pain. You have caused this injury.
Yeah, it's like the action hero. In a summer blockbuster, he gets shot in the arm. It's not fatal, but he's and then he turns, and then he takes out 3 more dudes.
Yeah, you have caused this anger. Jeff at Jay Cameron Show writes, Jim, I enjoy the podcast of your show, but are you broadcasting from a rocking chair? But alas, yes, in a way I am, and I am guilty, indeed, of rocking back and forth far too often, which is why I'm guessing you're complaining about the volume that fades in and out on my mic, because that is me. That is not Tom. That is me. That'd be something if we exposed Tom for just messing with the volume switch or something like that. But
No.
in fact, it is me sitting away from the mic.
That microphone is as central as it can be, too, from a processing standpoint. I
Yeah,
mean, it's got
no.
a good radius. It's not the cowherd mic, which is just putrid.
Yeah. No, it's my fault. I don't know why I do it. It's a bad habit. I do it when I'm making a point or laughing or we're just in a conversation. I just did it. So, yeah.
You talk with emphasis. That
I
means
do.
You're a body language talker.
But I don't like to be stationary. That's boring. I want to be able to move around. And, if we ever do change up the mic system, I want a mic where literally I could be like, over here, and it sounds, very clear. I don't know how we do that.
It would be attached to you. We'd have to put on like the swing vests for golfers, like that little stupid gadget. We could hook up a microphone so it stays right in front of you.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I'd like that. What's the number one question? I'll leave this for you guys over the weekend, and I guess I could just straight up ask you before you go out of town, Tom. What's the number one question you want me to ask Jimbo Fisher when I do my interview next week in Charlotte? And what would you want me to ask DeAndre Francois? I'm getting giddy about it. That's why I pose it to the listeners who often lead and bring insight to the program and fodder via emails and or Twitter. And I didn't want to forget to do it today because I am leaving next week on Wednesday to go to Charlotte for these meetings, and I've got a lot of ideas about what I want to talk to them about, but there's always something that can be gleaned from somebody else.
Well, from Jimbo, if he's in the mood to field this question.
That's what you don't know, yeah.
If he's in the mood to field the question about what happened what changed from the early half of the season to the back half of the season from the coaching staff standpoint? Because the world saw him openly question his coaches meeting, what do we need to do to communicate better with our players? So what did he learn? You know, I think that's a fair and open-ended question. What did you learn? What did change? Because the results came quickly once you figured out whatever message you needed to send, I should say. With DeAndre, I'd ask, so what is it about you that makes you want to be a worker as a quarterback versus a lot of guys want to play the position for the glitz and the glam on top of the hard work and being the leader? He doesn't care about any of the glitz and the glam. So what makes him tick? You know, what is it about the work that makes this position so attractive?
I think these are fun questions to ask if they're willing to engage, because those are things they can answer without, I think, vulnerability.
Or burning teammates or anything like that.
I think those are things you can answer without there being an air of I'm giving away secrets or that I'm talking out of school. I don't think so, and I don't think it's unfair for Jimbo to address a question that we all saw play out and that was on television as is. With the Showtime. I wonder if he regrets Showtime. I bet he'd say no, because I don't think coaches are inclined to admit if they have made mistakes or even believe that they've made mistakes. I don't think he would, but and maybe he doesn't view it as such. I don't know. But I am curious, because this is something I got asked this last night on that Learfield Sports Network in South Carolina. They asked about what was different about your season. I mean, we look at these early season numbers defensively, and we all know Florida State has a ton of talent. What the hell? I mean, they literally were asking basically, what the hell?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you explain, Louisville, Ole Miss, and all these performances? And I thought, hey, listen, you can only say so much about injuries. I mean, obviously losing Derwin James hurt, but he played in the Ole Miss game. Losing a player of that magnitude, his leadership, his knowledge of the defense, his skill and athleticism is going to hurt you, but it can't be the answer to what happened against Louisville. And I just don't know if the results, the second half of the schedule that you're talking about, was the result of having the light bulb turn on and the teaching sink in and the learning curve reached. I don't know. Or if it was just the simplification, which is what we did a lot of.
Yeah, I think the coaches meeting, and we'll rehash this. You guys have talked about it a lot on Seminole Headlines, but I think the coaches meeting moments when he says, what do we need to do better? Where are we not connecting here? I think that's 100% real. I don't think it's real when he's on the practice field with Derwin James and he asks him, what can I do better? And Derwin says, show him your heart, coach.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't buy that for a second as a 100% genuine type moment that happens on a random Wednesday in Tallahassee in practice week. However, consider what that means. Consider that at some point, the coaching staff, Jimbo said, I want to go with this angle on this episode of Showtime series. And think about the implications of that. I mean, that means he knows well enough to know that they are so disconnected with the team that he has to somehow present that on the show for the Seminole Nation to see. Well, what does that mean? And how was it fixed? Like, what changed? What did you learn? That's it. Pretty simple question.
The preseason talking points in every one of these years in Charlotte or any other location for the ACC meetings, kickoff, and the first couple of weeks of practice, it's almost every year that I can think of, what is being said there to describe the team's personality, practices, etc., does not fall in line with where we're at in the middle of the season. Now, some of that is self-evident, why that would be. Games are played. People get hurt. Other people step in. The personality of your team is always constantly adjusting based on wins and losses and things that happen in that realm. But the degree to which those talking points and that personality has shifted is an area that I think they would like to find a more steadying realm. And I don't know, because to me it plays into being able to properly read your team. It hasn't always meant that what he was saying in the preseason shifted to a negative by the middle of the season. Sometimes he's read his team one way and found out they were a lot better than he imagined them to be. I think he knew 2013 was a good team, but I don't think he realized that they were going to be so dominant so early and look to be a national championship contender coming out of camp. I don't think he knew that. Well, it'd be hard to know that, again, in fairness, because Jameis had never started a game.
Well, and they weren't complete until the end of September. I mean, they were having problems defensively. They weren't grasping the scheme 100%.
That's right. After the BC game and the adjustments made in that game is where it all shifts, and basically, making a couple personnel moves changed all of that. But I do think that it's interesting, really, and this sounds like a criticism, but I'm really not meaning it to. I'm actually just, it's exploratory. I'm curious if Jimbo would want to talk about how difficult it's been for him. Now, he has a lot of strengths that other coaches haven't been able to figure out, and that maybe if I were covering those teams, I'd be asking those questions. Why does a coach like Jimbo Fisher find a way to achieve this when our guy can't? But this is one that I am asking locally. Why does it seem to me that he struggles to have an idea of the buttons to push or the identity to note going into a season, because his teams oftentimes turn out not to be anything like what he's describing in these ACC meetings or even the first couple weeks of practice?
Well, yeah, and it goes all the way back to 10 and the miscalculation ahead of the Oklahoma game on the road.
Right.
And that game was supposed to be...
Well, and we're not saying that he made grandiose promises and broke them. I'm saying that his idea, that he thought he had... There was some swashbuckling going on before that OU game. He thought he had a little something for OU, and then, whoa, we were physically no match for that team.
Now, he did get it right in 13 before the Clemson game. You had intel on that he felt quite good.
Well, right. By the time we play Clemson that year, he has really come to realize he's got a special quarterback and a nasty demeanor on defense. He knows that he's got a little something waiting on Clemson in that game, and everybody is looking at this ultimate culmination of build up to Clemson's success. It's going to come this night, and he's of the mindset that they're in for a rude awakening. And he was right, and it wasn't bravado. It was that he knew. And I got to tell you, that's one of my favorite moments ever in covering college football. And I couldn't talk about it. I wasn't allowed to go on the air with it, and I did have intel just how confident he was about that Clemson game. And, we knew what a huge game this was. I mean, if you think back to the buildup of that, I mean, I admit it's self-serving, but if you go to YouTube and find the one where I'm narrating the highlights of that somebody put together and was really cool of them to do, the thing is, we talked about that game in grandiose terms, the fierce battles, the supremacy of the conference, maybe the country is on the line. It turned out all of that was true. And a resounding statement was made. To get the information I did that week, later in the week, to hear that Jimbo felt like they weren't just going to win, that the possibility of blowing Clemson out was a very good one.
Yeah, if I recall, that was either Wednesday night or Thursday night.
I just remember calling you immediately going, man, this is a cool thing.
You might enjoy this weekend. I mean, that's something, what you said. You might like what you see.
I said, I think we may end up enjoying what we're going to see here because our head coach believes that they're about to deliver an ass beating. And he didn't tell me that necessarily, but there were people.
Well, if he feels that way in a given week when he's prepping and he's seen the film.
Well, that's the thing, right? When he's looking at the matchups and he comes out of those rooms after watching hours of film and is going, I like this.
Now, you never want to hear me proclaim that ever again.
No, you're not allowed to.
No, I'm not.
When you do that, I go, damn it, we're going to get blown out.
We're going to get smoked.
Yeah. I mean, because you so rarely do it, and when you do, we get our ass kicked. So I'm not doing that.
You know what the hard part is, looking back on that, is I wasn't necessarily that wrong about Lamar Jackson because teams figured him out. And by the end of the year,
we were ill-equipped.
We were so ill-equipped, and that's what I had the other side of the equation more correct than I did what we were doing on our own backyard.
Well,
I thought
really,
after the Ole Miss game, that the warning shot was fired. We got away with it. We won the football game, and okay, guys,
let's adjust. Yeah,
great game. That can't ever freaking happen again.
You know what's funny? We've been doing the show together a long time, and we know each other really well. We know our tendencies well. We know our strengths and weaknesses well. And sometimes I get some things right and you get them wrong, and sometimes you get them right and I get them wrong, and that's just part of it when you give an opinion on a daily and weekly basis, okay? We all get the game. But here's the funny thing. That week, you remember, we could not have been of greater differing opinions. I was like, I don't like this.
You couldn't put a finger on it, but something didn't feel right.
Oh, I felt terrible about it. I kept saying, I don't think this is good for us. I don't like this matchup. And you're like, oh, no. we're going to beat that ass, Jeff. This is not even going to be close.
It's not an 8 p.m. kick. We got over
I kept going, I don't know. They're really excited about this game, and they want to send a statement, and our defense. And as the week went on, and I got even more nervous because you were hearing rumors of Sweat's injury. And
right, yeah.
It just.
Man,
that game in a nutshell is hilarious.
Yeah, it is hilarious, but I didn't realize that we had such a disconnect between the coaching staff and players that weeks later IOUs would be signed.
Well,
Jimbo would be in front of the world
saying, this is a bizarre season to look back on.
Akin to Eric Cartman in South Park, how do I reach these kids? I mean, damn, I didn't realize that there was muck in the gears. I mean, the gears, the whole machine, the
clutter,
process.
Tom.
The process was broken.
Awful lot of clutter. There was noise in the system.
Forgive me for assuming that the process here in Tallahassee is moving like an assembly line.
Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't.
Lesson learned.
If everything worked smoothly all the time, we'd be Alabama, I suppose. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford. The place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
2 for $2.22. That's right, 2 for $2.22. And 28-ounce Gatorade is buy one, get one free. It's more fun with Pepsi and Dew, so bring on the bubbles with these cool prices at RCD Shell.
This Day in Sports brought to you by Superlube. Superlube, 19 Tallahassee area locations. Quick, convenient, no appointment necessary.
This day in sports history. July 7th, 1948. 42-year-old Leroy Satchel Paige pitches 2 innings for the Cleveland Indians in his debut with the newly and barely integrated American League. The game came 21 years after the great pitcher's first Negro League appearance. Paige put together a solid career that ended in 1965 when he was 59 years old.
How's your car's air conditioner working? Could be better? Take it to Auto Super Service Center today for a comprehensive air conditioner service. It's just $49.99. Yep, just $49.99. Since 1980, Tallahassee's trusted name for auto repairs, service, and low prices has been Auto Super Service Center. There are 5 Tallahassee area Auto Super Service Center locations. Find the one nearest you at AutoSuperServiceCenter.com and call for an appointment. $49.99 air conditioner service special is a limited time offer, so call today.
Tallahassee Sports Center.
I'm Lee Gordon. If you want a ticket to the hot game on September the 2nd, Florida State and Alabama, you're going to have to find a good friend that can give you one. Organizers from the Chick-fil-A kickoff game announced today it is officially sold out 2 months before kickoff at the new Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Well, Sporting News has named Jimbo Fisher the 4th best recruiter in all of college football. They ranked 130 coaches. Nick Saban number 1, Urban Meyer 2, and Dabo Swinney comes in at number 3. Cleveland Indians manager Terry Francona will not manage the All-Star game next week. week in Miami after undergoing a heart procedure on Thursday. His coaching staff from the Indians will take his place. Well, how about this? You know the NBA has been spending a lot of money lately. How about Knicks' Tim Hardaway Jr.? 4 years, $71 million, all guaranteed to the offer sheet. That means he's going to make more money this year than Tom Brady will for the New England Patriots.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. It's Libations Friday, brought to you by Quarter Pocket Bar and Grill. Quarter Pocket Bar and Grill on Appalachian Parkway. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
That Friday love right there. I don't know why. I know you play that every Friday for the final segment, and every time I still get very excited.
Means it's a good choice.
Well, it is a great choice, and I love the song, and that's all true. And I love my job, so I shouldn't be so elated to get 2 days away from it, especially after I've had 9. But listen, no matter what your job is, no matter how much you love your job, it is still your job. You aren't free to do whatever you want on your job. You got to do your job. So when the 2 days of whatever the hell I want to do comes up, no matter how much I love my job, I get excited just like the next guy.
For me, that would be 9 if you include weekends.
Yeah, well, you're off to Canada.
North of the border, pal.
Yeah, good times, buddy. They're very friendly people.
That's what I hear.
They are. And I'm excited for you. Are you going to play golf in British Columbia?
I'm going to try. It's Halifax, Nova Scotia that I'm going to be in.
Okay.
But I'm going to
Not
try.
British Columbia at all.
No, it's a little bit easterly.
Just made that up completely.
But
yeah.
They have a couple
Maybe
places
I was
where
wishing that for you.
These are the courses. I mean, okay, This is where Canadians and Canadian celebrities and all that kind of stuff go to
play.
retreat.
Well, they only get 3 months.
Yes. Their season, it's funny. Their season price, it's like off-season price $40 for 18, and then on-season price $270 for the same course. But one of the courses very close to downtown Halifax is where Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid, 2 NHL superstars,
You might run into the two who probably hit the ball a mile as hockey players and baseball players are wont to do.
I'll bet their backswing gets to belt level and they still hit it 400 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, those hockey players and baseball players play golf well, typically.
There are a couple of courses where you can rent clubs and it's like a pitch and putt. I'll do that one day just to kind of get out there and swing the sticks. I'll grab a 6-iron, a wedge, and a putter and walk around.
I can tell you what I'm most jealous of is not just that you're playing golf in a beautiful landscape, but the weather. I will be envious of the fact that it's not going to be 104 like it is here currently.
No, in fact, and I pulled that up a little bit earlier today, and next week it looks like this. Highs of 71 and lows ranging from 57 to 55. There it is. It'll be a nice day. Need to have the the extra sweater and the golf pullover, the whole 9.
Got it made, brother.
Yeah, for
Got
a
it
week.
made. Well done. Well, enjoy it. You've earned it. Here we go. Let's pull up probables and make it happen.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
You will have to check in with me, though, because I'll be at the ACC meetings next week.
Oh, man, it's not all play. There's going to be some work.
Yeah, we
some
got
prep
stuff to do. Yeah.
It's a big week.
Good time. Should be fun. Padres, Phillies. My Buccos just took 3 or 4 from the Phillies. That's not a good baseball team because the Pirates aren't any good. But if we could play the Phillies every day, we would be. Clayton Richard and Nick Pivetta. Star-studded matchup. Braves, Nationals, R.A. Dickey, Max Scherzer. Got to tell you, I'm not going to go with R.A. Dickey in that one. Brewers, Montgomery. That would be Brewers, Yankees. Montgomery pitching for the Yankees. Guerrera pitching for the Brewers, who apparently aren't going away. The Brewers are going to be buyers. That's nuts. Stros, Blue Jays. Charlie Morton's not any good. He'll pitch tonight for the Astros. Aaron Sanchez goes for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Morton.
It's terrible. Red Sox, Rays. Drew Pomeranz and Jake Odorizzi.
Hoping Asmo was on the mound.
Asmo is not, but he was available on my list of free agents in fantasy. I almost picked him up. Asmo! Tigers, Indians, Jordan Zimmerman, Carlos Carrasco. Angels, Rangers, Ricky Nolasco, Cole Hamels. The reminder weekly that Ricky Nolasco is still in the league. Orioles twins Kevin Gausman and Felix Jorge. Mets Cards, kind of like your matchup here. Thomas, Jacob deGrom is on the hill for the Mets. And the Cardinals will throw Carlos Martinez.
Yeah, pushed back a couple of days thanks to a PPD against the Nationals that helped us from suffering a 3-game sweep. Instead, it was just a 2-game losing streak.
I think you're right. I think that would have been a full
yes. Even if it was Roark who's getting his lit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. DeGrom, arguably the hottest pitcher in baseball right now, for those that don't know because they're not paying attention to Metropolitan's baseball. 4-0 with an 0.84 over the last, 31 strikeouts in his last 4 starts?
Yeah, what I would do is I would pay John Smoltz $2 million a year to become the pitching coach because he's the one who gave DeGrom the mechanical adjustment. He loves Jacob deGrom.
Because he sees greatness in him.
Yeah, he also followed him from his college days. Yeah, at Stetson.
I also believe John Smoltz is a good hire for a team out there. And it would be a loss for all of us who like good broadcasting and insightful color analysis. He's awesome at what he does, but I'd hire him tomorrow if he'd take it. He may not want the job.
Probably not.
It's laborious.
How about $5 million, John? What do you say?
I mean, I've never heard, I know I prattle on about this, but you brought it up with Smoltz. I get it. There are a lot of ex-players that know the game inside and out, and if you had an opportunity to sit next to a hitter while you're watching a baseball game, he'd tell you all kinds of secrets that might wow you. But I've never heard a color analyst, former player, as insightful and spot on repeatedly as John Smoltz.
It's incredible, too. You know, back in 2015, he was talking about how much he liked the young rotation in New York, and everybody said, whoa, it's a Brave. No, you can't do that. And he said, no, I have a personal attachment to Jake. He calls him up and tells him one adjustment, and those numbers. Bam, just like that.
4-0, 0.84, 31 strikeouts, 8 walks, last 4 starts. Got 2 extra days rest, as you noted. We got White Sox, Rockies, Derek Holland, Herman Marquez, Reds, D-backs, Tim Adelman and Zach Greinke. Kansas City Royals playing good baseball right about now against the Dodgers. This is a good matchup. Jason Hamill and Kent Tomeda. Kent Tomeda's not any good. Kent Tomeda sucks. Oakland Athletics, Seattle Mariners, Sean Manaea and James Paxton. Marlins, Giants close out the night if you're still up at AT&T Park. Dan Straley and Matt Moore, and that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. I cut Kent Tomeda. I didn't cut him. I cut him.
True gangster.
I wanted to cut him. Sorry, bastard. When does hockey start?
Training camps in a couple of months. Right now they're going through.
They always stop. They stop playing. They hoist the cup. 3 weeks later, I'm more hearing about guys skating.
No, I think it's pretty much a certainty I'll run into some Canadian media because they're also running to Halifax. This is where they get their 6-week sabbatical, and then they come back because hockey season is all year long.
One nugget I did not mention while we were having a lot of Mets love and Jacob deGrom love, but really more about how good John Smoltz is as an analyst. But I would say I do find it heartwarming that Bartolo Colon's career is over. The Braves said have a good day, but the Mets said not so fast. They called him. The Mets have reached out to Colon's agent. They may sign him this week.
And he'll have a 3.20 ERA from now through the end of the season, buddy. Mark it down.
Go get that fatty, fat. Good work out of you. Enjoy your vacation, good sir, in Canada. I know you'll be working some with me when I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. God, that would have been a terrible mistake. Oh, it's not in Charleston?
I thought it was at the La Quinta in Charleston, not the Westin in Charlotte.
Now I'm stuck at a La Quinta in Charleston. I'll go see the Lexington. Good work, Matthew. Thanks to everybody who called and or listened. Enjoy your weekend. I'll talk to you on Monday. Be well.